Welcome to the Lofti Lounge. And normally I do solo streams on Wednesdays, but today we have a guest, special guest, Sam Fennah. Chat. Well, first of all, Sam, hello. Can you say hi?
Yeah, I got to meet your stream because I'm hearing two of you.
Oh yeah, that happens to me too. I forgot.
I was a bit confused there for a second.
Yeah, I always have to mute my own stream.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm doing all right. I've just realized that you have like a little avatar.
Oh, dude, I forgot to tell you, I'm a VTuber. Kind of, not really.
Well, yeah, I saw it before. I forgot though.
Yeah, it's just easier that way.
I'll be here, and then.
The weird thing is, I don't have a setup for this, so I have to drag my guy around. I'll drag you around separately, like whenever we, because I want to show your book and stuff. So we'll have to make room for that. But
okay,
I would like to ask you. Well, first of all, chat, how you doing? What's up, chat? This is a big group, a bunch of new people. I'm assuming you have a lot of stands in the chat.
I don't know about that. I think there's people who are semi-interested in hearing me waffle. Thankfully, they're mostly interested in my work, not so much me, which I think is the ideal scenario.
That's perfect.
You know, when you're making stuff, you're not the point. Your stuff is the point. So I do stream sparingly because I don't want to exhaust people.
Sorry about that.
Because I can be quite an exhaustive person sometimes.
Well, that's interesting because I just watched you stream for 4 hours one time.
Yeah, well, that's that's the thing. That's why I'm exhaustive. Once you get me going on a topic, I'm a fucking nuisance, and I don't shut the fuck up. So, you know.
Well, I mean, I enjoyed it. It was informative because I didn't know much.
What was the stream about?
I'm sorry. It was the AI Shadiversity sort of
breakdown. Yeah, well, that was a special scenario. I just saw it on Twitter and I felt compelled to take a look. I'm still baffled.
It's baffling. And look, just for clarification, let me turn my sound down just a little bit because I have some music playing because I like to have background music. But that should be loud enough. So I met you on I saw your stream and I liked what you had to say. And I'd set something up because I know Shadiversity and I know a lot of YouTubers. And I was like, it would be cool if an AI pro AI.
We all got together in a big clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Shouted at each other for 3 hours.
Yeah, I know. That was my brainchild a little bit, sort of. And then and then Adam and Sitch kind of took it up and decided that they would like to host it. Mm-hmm. So that's how we met. But we've been DMing and hanging out for a while.
Yeah, the debate was an interesting experience, to say the least. I thought it would have been moderated a bit more, but I enjoyed it. I liked everyone involved. It's all right. It's all right. I had fun.
Well, you're kind of right about the moderation. I wish it was more of a neutral moderation thing, and then you guys got to do your back and forth, but it was sort of like you were answering 3 people simultaneously sometimes.
Well, I was careful not to contradict myself on any points. So it was messy, but in retrospect, I think I said what I came there to say. I don't think Shad was too keen on having a discussion outside the sort of
the parameters of it.
Yeah, the sort of theft thing, which is a very narrow, sort of intellectually incurious aspect of it. Because if it is a problem, that's something that's easy to solve. But the larger ramifications of it are what I wanted to talk about, and so I think things just got a bit confusing down the line, especially when other people started jumping in.
Yes, and it was.
It was very funny though, especially when Shad had the Charles McGill breakdown when Reed was mentioned,
Oh
And he just
God.
went up on the fucking big rant. So like, you know, I definitely got my money's worth personally.
Yeah,
And
Reed.
I didn't feel slighted in the least. I just think that it was a very passionate man, you know.
Very passionate. I mean, I've debated him over on AI last Saturday on a. It's behind like a members only stream. You can't watch it, but it was just it's called Flashcast. But we had a little back and forth, and it was kind of annoying. But you know, I like Shad, and he I've streamed with him before, and anyway, that was
I like Shad, but I don't think Shad understands what art is or the point of it, which is to surely to express ideas and observations to your fellow man.
Right.
And when AI takes a hold, you are feeding from your own stomach, essentially. You're projecting your own ideas back into your head because, why would I watch their Batman film when I can just make my Batman film? So everyone's just talking to themselves, and it's disconnected and segregated, and no one's talking anymore. And that's literally what art fucking is. And I don't understand the want or desire to make it easier to just cut everyone off.
I know it did get it sort of the conversation. And Shad was like, you know, I liked your conversations about the current state of AI of art because it was like kind of people who don't understand AI could like kind of wrap their heads around it, like when you were talking about it. But then when you started to project into the future, Shad sort of like, I don't know, that he
didn't get it. No, he didn't get it.
It shuts down. Yeah, it's. And the one thing that bothered me the most, we'll talk about AI in a little bit, but the one thing that bothered me the most was when he said it was very. There's a lot of things. I took so many notes, but the one was like, he said, "Oh, in the future, the best art will still be shared regardless of how many people are using AI." And it's like, here, I don't know how you feel about this, but in my opinion, the best art is not even shared now.
No. The best guitar player in the world is probably some homeless guy in India. You know, we don't know who these people are because talentless people are always brought to the forefront because it's sensationalism.
Yes.
You know, it's like there's no grounds for a statement like that because it's not true today. Why would it be true in the future when the market is even more saturated with shite? I think Shad has a tendency to be, and it's almost kind of adorable. He's overly optimistic, which might make me a bit of a grey pessimist, but I'm not. I'm a realist, and the fundamentals are this. Today, like art isn't appreciated for what it is.
Right.
Writing certainly isn't.
Right
so
now.
Why would it be in the future when we diminish the value of these things even more?
And
his argument with it's not happening now, so we don't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay then, you've won. You've won the debate. I concede. It's not happening in the
in the immediate present.
It's like fucking camel logic. It's like, well, things aren't going wrong now, so I'll just stay here then, as the fucking tidal wave washes you away.
Now,
you know.
That's a whole, rabbit hole. I up front, I wanted to mention briefly. I just so we know where we stand. I actually don't mind AI art in some capacities.
Neither do I. I don't.
Okay.
Think AI has some utility. It's just where I'm concerned is our maturity as a species to use it properly.
Right. It's not
for me.
Yeah.
Oh, go on. Sorry.
Well, no, it's the maturity problem is my problem as well, and I don't even know how you feel about just like people having fun with AI separately from the argument that AI is going to replace artists or advance artists, because how I use AI is simply I have fun with it. I make stupid Pokemon that have never been like thought of before and like show my brother and we have like a laugh, and then like I occasionally I'll do a thumbnail. I make my own thumbnails. I'm not firing myself. I'm just you know, I'm using AI sometimes.
Yeah.
There's I'm sure we disagree on some points. For example, I don't know how you feel about concept art.
Like, again, like this is where I stand on it.
Yep.
Artificial intelligence can and will replace every human utility that there is.
Sure.
You know, transport will be AI, food will be AI and machines. You know, the service industry will be AI, art will be AI, music will be AI. This is the way we're going as a species. Everything will be procedurally generated, and all you will need at the front is a director. Somebody's in the hot seat saying, well, you know, say you got James Cameron, right? He wants to do his Avatar 7, except he doesn't want to fucking hire all these people. Why would he? He's the creative genius, as you know, according to Shads. And so you end up with him in a room alone saying, oh, we'll make her blue, make that one red, and I want a scene where they're fighting. Could you move them? And it's just, he's sort of orchestrating these machines, and there's no human input whatsoever. That, yeah, I don't particularly like that future.
It's a scary future.
I don't think it's fun, and I reject the preposterous notion that just because technology exists, just because it is technological progress, it is therefore a good thing. Oh, it's progress. Right. Yeah, but progress can be bad, you dimwits. You know, you can have progress that you know, annihilates the human experience. Why are we alive?
Yeah.
Like what fundamentally, like why are we here?
Right. What?
Surely it is to do things and to interact with the world, and not to have the world, you know, fucking grovel to us at our beck and at every beck and
call. Well, it's almost like the future of AI. The final boss, the final outcome example of AI is just everything efficiently behaving efficiently, and that's the point of life, is just to be efficient. And what that's it. There's like no just efficiently deliver stories to people. This is just the art realm, but like have as many efficiently delivered stories as possible, just so people can have the easiest time. You know, there's no difficulty in exploring any kind of art beyond.
Well, that's stupid. Like, I mean, you might as well put a bullet in its head at that point, because that's missing the whole. Again, well,
that's what Shad was talking about. He was like, I just want to be able to like sit down and watch whatever I want to watch and consume whatever I want. Yeah.
Shad does not understand what fiction is. He doesn't seem to. He doesn't seem to understand the point. Now, what is the point of fiction? Why do we tell stories? Well, the answer is we tell stories to take the vast, scary complexities of the world and translate them in a way that is easily understood. Yeah. Right? So, like, I've used this analogy before. Why does old Nan tell her grandchild, don't go into the forest because there's a witch in the woods?
Right.
Well, there isn't a witch, but there are wolves and poisonous mushrooms and dangerous men and women that will hurt you. The witch translates these very complex things that a child would struggle to understand into an easy to understand thing.
Right.
And this again, Star Trek did this. It had the first interracial kiss, because when you have white people, black people, blue people, robot people,
Smurfs,
it suddenly that's the beauty and utility of fiction, and entertainment is a byproduct of that, and it's done through sharing and exploring the ideas of people who are not yourself. Right.
Well, you described the movie The Village pretty well in your example. It's basically that's the point of now in the movie they hide themselves and they tell lies to their offspring because they are afraid that the world is scary and they don't want and so they tell these stories about, you know, creatures in the woods and there's this mythology that like kind of unravels in the movie, and whether you like the movie or not, it's like it's an interesting parable for that kind of. But yeah, it's a great example, I think, for the power of storytelling.
Like that's what it is. That's what it is fundamentally there for. That's why we derive entertainment from things, because humans like figuring things out. We like puzzles, even if we don't like to admit it. We do. We like to be challenged, and any good story will do that. So when you live in a world where you make your own stories for yourself, you're just feeding off your own experience and your own biases and your own opinions, and you're just having them funneled back into your brain with a computer, and you're not interacting with other people who are going to challenge you in a healthy way. And this is what the confounding thing about Shad's perspective is, that he sees it as almost like a transactional vending machine where the point of art is to get art and just look at it. And it's like,
right.
Why are you looking at it? What are you pulling from this piece? Surely, to Christ, you're pulling some insight from the person that fucking made it.
Yeah.
But if it was made by a computer or you, now sure, you can introspect, you can reflect on yourself. That's healthy. But for Christ's sake, that's not what most art, is.
No.
It's sharing.
It's people.
Ideas.
It's people.
Yes.
And the best, I always sort of, when I talk about AI art, I also talk about the people behind it, or not AI art in general, because think about like Edgar Allan Poe, or think about like Caravaggio, or just any artists. If you're a hobbyist, or if you're a passionate enthusiast of art, the part of the hobby is obsessing over artists. And okay, for example, I'm a big movie guy, and like I love to talk about movies. And one of my favorite filmmakers is Stanley Kubrick. Well, I could go down the list. Miyazaki, Guillermo del Toro, Quentin Tarantino. But like when I'm talking about the films, I'm also referencing how they were made. How we can take Jurassic Park, for example. Like Phil Tippett created the profound innovation with the Jurassic Park T-Rex stop motion technology, and some of the early CGI invention. There's a whole story narrative behind the creation of that movie that is really interesting as a fan of cinema, or as a fan of any other media art form. And with AI art, the future that Shad wants to sort of ignore, that entire conversation about like, how was this made? Which people collaborated to, like, H.R. Geiger and Ridley Scott. Like, it's a fascinating, iconic duo collaboration. That entire conversation in nerd culture, it disappears and is gone when you start talking about artificial intelligence producing the art by itself. So, yeah. Go ahead.
That conversation that you refer to is art.
That is art. Yeah.
That's where the term movie magic comes from. Like, how did they do it?
Right.
And I do think that, people can, call me a Luddite or whatever the fuck they want, but I do think that there is merit in taking the longer way, the older way.
Right.
And the more rewarding way. Like, maybe you should grow your own tomatoes. Maybe you should fucking walk somewhere instead of just getting an Uber. Maybe you should do these things page by page. And maybe then you'll actually enjoy your life more. You'll have a more fulfilling experience on this earth. Maybe that there are merits to doing things in an engaging way.
Right, and most recently, Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan. If you bought the 4K DVD or whatever, there's a behind-the-scenes documentary. It's one of the best I've ever seen. He describes that he did everything practically, almost, and he did it in a way that the studios were not happy about. And it was like, people, why don't you just do the CGI? And he's like, well, and he was like, I want to do the practical kind of construction of these big, like the quantum realm in that movie is all practical effects. He's doing things on camera. And it comes across in the movie, and it feels like it feels different. It feels different, and it feels like passion went into that movie in a different way, and that's why he's getting so much buzz around this movie. It's like, well, yeah, he kind of broke himself making this movie when it could have been made much easier with just like artificial intelligence in the future, but like CGI now. There's this, like you said, it's like. There's the Luddite thing to me is dumb, because would you agree there's different examples of like when Luddites are probably more appropriate than other situations? Like, not all Luddite conversations are the same. There's categories, I think. Like,
well, it depends on like what the technology is.
Well, like, for example, agriculture has, I don't know, lifted people out of poverty, I feel. Not everybody can have a farm, and I think there's different I think there's different layers to what technology advancements that we could rally behind. I think for chat,
I don't mind technological evolution, but
right.
I don't like a lack of cultural evolution. Right now, our technology is here and our culture is here. Now, I do not want to bring the technology down and outlaw it and ban it and destroy it.
Right.
I want to bring the culture up and make sure that we can appropriately use this stuff without fucking things up. And I think it's possible. I think there are ways of doing it, but not without some kind of cultural paradigm shift. Like, for example, I think the internet is a complete failure. That's an example of like technology that like has just social media has eroded our ability to communicate with one another beyond
it's bad
comprehension. It's it's fucked. That's an example of technology that has failed us as a species. Like, we can't even interact with people over the phone anymore.
No,
let alone cross someone on the street. We're paranoid and we're scared and we're anxious.
Well,
and it's like fuck,
that is a big thing, and it bleeds into many other fields of problems. Like, for example, schooling, visual learning, at home learning during COVID was a disaster. People like just sitting behind a computer trying to do school, that sucks. That's not good. People like, working from home, it's causing problems. But yeah, the social interaction thing is probably the biggest problem.
Well, it's because when you one thing you got to know about people, everyone's a fucking liar. Every single human being, they project outwardly who they think society will accept.
Right.
So they aren't punished. But inside is a shadow self, the real them, and this shadow personality holds all their opinions, all their beliefs, all the authenticity. And most people will live and die in the dark. They will never express themselves for who they are. They will cage themselves away forever because they're scared of being punished. Because we've created this culture of moral and social purity online, and if you put one fucking toe out of line, social banishment is your punishment, and you can't live when you're socially banished.
Right.
So that's social media is doing partially. It's exacerbated a problem that was already there. I hate it, and I think our species has become extremely shallow and vindictive and wicked as a result, because when you don't see your compatriots as human anymore, they're just cartoons or icons online. And it's like,
well, I'm a cartoon. What are you saying? Come
exactly. Well, I mean, you're a perfect thing here, because
I know,
like,
right?
it's like you when you insult a cartoon, it's a cartoon.
If you insult me, I get very angry.
Yeah,
and then I have
steam comes out your ears, and you go, "Why But fucking, we've dissociated to an extraordinary degree, and this is a part where social media is. And these things compound, you see. So AI, you've got misinformation as well. So you've got like, you can just have entire things that are not real. That are completely fake, and they're online and they look real, and people believe it. And back in the day, 100 years ago, if someone said something stupid, it was in the pub with their mates, and they go, shut up, David. Now they say it, and they go on Twitter, and then the other cunts online retweet it, and next thing you know, laws are getting passed, and it's like it's like mob rule. Like, democracy is only as strong as the people participating, and the people participating are fucking idiots. I fucking wash my hands of it.
Yeah, it's I know you're passionate. I feel your passion. I agree with it. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to get passionate anymore because it's so, we're just kind of like, well, we got to deal with it. We got to deal with it. Progress, you know, it's like, it's hard.
I mean,
there's too many distractions.
I just, when the history of whatever the fuck this is written, I don't want my name on the fucking list of people who were complacent. I at least want to be on the list of people who said, hang on a minute, this is fucking insane.
Well, I'll
be dead by then, but it doesn't matter, you know.
Well, can I ask you about now let's just quickly I just wanted to say this because I'm aware of your book and I'm aware of your channel and I find your stuff fascinating. Now, however, I'm waiting on the audiobook because I want to, that's how I prefer. Now, if I had infinite time, because I'm a video editor, I do freelance. And when I have free time, I'm streaming or oh my God, I'm trying to write a comic book. And that, you know, writing in general takes up time, but like I need audiobooks these days most of the time. So yes or no, is that finished? And when can I look forward to that? And are you doing the audio? I can't remember.
I'm narrating it.
Okay. And chat. If you're not familiar, I'm gonna pull this up in a second. There is I've
got it here.
Oh, you can pull the book up. There it is.
Yeah.
Amigdala.
Amigdala.
So go ahead and like maybe do a brief, whatever you want to say about it.
Oh, okay, right. Well, so I wanted to write a book that was a sort of parody of the animal kingdom.
Right.
That exaggerated aspects of animals and human behaviors. But I didn't want to, you can't do that with human beings because it's polarizing. So I thought, well, I'll set it before the Big Bang. So it's pre-universal. And it's going to follow an alien society as they build up their culture and their government and their economy.
Right.
And through this alien lens, it allows me to explore some of the more difficult topics that a lot of people get cold feet about. As an example, when you talk about something highly political with human beings, the first thing that people ask is, well, why are they saying that? Is it because they're from America or Britain or China? Right. Is it because their skin is this color or that color? Is it because they have blue hair or because they're wearing a red hat? So there are many conversations that you cannot have, which is why I decided to use these fucking alien animals to do that.
Interesting.
So
and you're talking about sort of social hierarchies in a way.
Yeah, in a sense, it's very Darwinian.
Okay.
So the idea came from I was talking to my mum, and my mum is she's retired now. She was an advanced practitioner for the NHS.
Okay.
And she specialized in head injuries, and it's from her that I learned a lot of the psychology and how the brain works, and that's why the book is called Amygdala, because that's very much what it's about. And we were talking, and I put forward a scenario whereby if you were to take every human being and remove their brain and place it into a tin pot, essentially, like a Dalek from Doctor Who, indistinguishable. Whose team are you on now? When you don't have a race, when you don't have a sex, when you don't have a flag, when you don't have your blue hair or your red hat, when you don't have a visual, who do you stand next to? And how do you find out that information? Well, the answer is you talk to them. You are forced, therefore, to explore the ideas of these other tin pots. I did the reverse. So every character in the book is completely different. You'll have, like Lucy Lacemaker, who's like 3'5", little weasel monkey fucker. And then you've got Helgen, which is this giant snake Gorgon lady. And they're all completely different.
Right.
And because every single one of them is ununiform and cannot be categorized, in order to understand the psychology and the merits of each argument, you have to learn about them, you have to talk to them, you have to read about them. And what this does for the reader is it lowers their defenses and it exposes them to ideas that they might not be too willing to listen to in the real world because they come from sources that they don't trust. And so it doesn't really matter like where you stand politically. The book doesn't tell you what to think. The book doesn't promote one idea over the other. The characters do.
Right.
But you've got to listen to them. And so you have people on the left and people on the right being exposed to the ideas of each side and those in the middle.
These are some of your characters.
Down.
I don't know if you can see my screen, but I'm just showing some of your characters. This is on Google Image. Oh, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
That's going to be the trailer for my this when I re-edit this. Oh, by the way,
I've got the illustrations here. I can just show them.
That would be good. I also have your YouTube channel here. I just wanted to quickly say, guys, if you go follow Sam, his channel's in the description of this video.
The channel is basically animations of the book, so it takes scenes from the book and.
The channel is very amazing. All of this stuff is fascinating. And I want to talk about it just quickly. Every Wednesday I have a stream, so like I plan on having a bunch of guests this week. Whoever's in the chat, if you guys are interested in talking about different random topics, I have a lot of hobbies. So like video games, anime, cinema, art. I'll have Sam back on once I read your book, man. I want to have you back on because I'm writing a book now, and I want to talk to you about. It's sort of archetypal horror archetypes, I guess you could say, like classic monster. However, it's in like a. I'm sort of combining them all into one sort of cyberpunk horror gothic fiction. I can't explain it.
All right, okay.
But that's kind of the. I don't want to give too much away because I'm still sort of like I don't know if it's going to ever happen because I'm trying to find an artist and it's a big process. But yeah, it's sort of like gothic horror, cyberpunk, and I love horror. And I have really cool characters. But yeah, yours is fascinating. I want to talk to people about world building, and maybe I can have you on to talk about that exclusively someday. Because that's a whole dragon to slay, like world building, character development, language, yeah,
of course.
But
it is a process. It can take a long time.
Oh my god, it's crazy. But yeah, so guys, anyway, if you want to sub and check out some more of my streams later on, I'll probably have Sam back again if he wants to, and then other people. But thank you for joining. Hit the like button, and yeah. Now, Sam. Question. I want you to show some of your illustrations, but before we do that, can you explain your sort of multimedia approach to whatever you're doing here with your universe? Because it's fascinating. I don't see anyone really doing anything like this, so I'm just curious about it.
Yeah, it's a complete fluke, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, I've always been into films and storytelling and shit like that. So I wanted to be a cameraman when I was a young child.
Same.
And then I realized, oh, wait a minute, all the action takes place on the screen. I don't want to be behind the camera. I want to be in front of it. So I wanted to be an actor for a brief period. And then I thought, well, that's not really, the actors don't really get to do much. They're just stood on a green platform. So I want to be an animator. I want to make the creatures, right? So then I did the animation. This is when I was 16 or 17. Writing wasn't even like sort of part of it at that point. I just wanted to make things and do stuff, and that's where Satellite City came from.
So you started from a visual obsession.
Yeah. So what I only really started getting back into writing when I was about 20.
Okay. Same.
So yeah. So
well, wait.
So then,
did you do that for a hobby? Because for me it was I went to university and I majored in. I majored in journalism and creative writing and double majored. And I started doing it because of that.
I can give you my institutional journey in shortly. But the long story short is, when I finished my English exam for high school,
Right.
The first thing I said to my mum was, I never want to write anything ever again. I hated it. I hated school and all the shit that fucking that went down, and I really wasn't a fan. So I decided to fucking stop, and I just did the show. I did the characters and all the shit like that, and that was that was that. Then what happened was, as Satellite City progressed, I started to sort of get more invested in the characters and their backstory, and that's when I thought, well, I do have observations of like, you know, I've never seen a depiction of the animal kingdom accurately in film or storytelling before. They always get it wrong. They make it look like this paradise. They make it look beautiful, and evil humans come and ruin it, and machines and shit. They always fuck it up.
Right.
So I thought, well, what would happen if I actually did an actual story that was accurate to the animal kingdom, that was exaggerated, of course, in many aspects, but you know, the animal kingdom's actually a horror show. Nature's terrifying.
It's disgusting. I hate the animal kingdom.
I hate it and I love it. So I thought, well, I'll write a book about that, and I'll use these characters for as tools to tell that story. So that's when I started writing the book.
No, I love the animal kingdom. I actually have. I say that because my dad likes to watch lions ripping animals apart in videos on YouTube, and it's gross and disgusting. But I breed reptiles. I have a gargoyle gecko. I have a Eurymastix. I have some viper geckos. I love animals with a passion, and I like to watch videos and stuff like that. Now, you said something a minute ago about how humans. You don't. Would it be fair to say you're not a fan of stories that are sort of use the trope of humans coming in, destroying the land, and then the animals are like these cute little bunnies and they're scared and they run away, and then that's like the whole plot of the movie, like, or whatever the story. Would that be a fan? Yeah.
Humans are animals. We're slightly evolved apes.
Right.
So I don't really take kindly to any story that tries to separate humans from the animal kingdom, which is why in Amigdala it's a blend of animal behaviors and human behaviors and cultures.
Okay.
And that's why the book and the world, as you can see on screen, is so weird.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. You can see aspects of humanity right there. There's Mystique. She's got a humanish face. There's Gatsby with his many grins. They're macabre. They're macabre exaggerations. Like, you know, obviously this one, he's a bear. Locket and Methuselah there. One of them is like a sort of godly stag. The other one is very giraffish. They're parodies of animals. Locket is also sort of like, she's the grand voice of this city. So she's got like very insectoid features. The queen bee, many eyes. Yeshua there with his neon teeth.
Yeah, that guy's so cool. I like it.
He's a cunt. So
bro, yeah. Why is he a cunt? Just because that's his personality, and he just like, how do you come up with the characters' personalities? Uh-oh, I think you got muted. Is he just muted for me? Uh-oh, yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back. Give me a second. He's back. He's back. So you're good.
With when it comes to like Yeshua and character creation in general, they're based on people that either I've met or observed, in real life. So the reason Yeshua's kind of an asshole is because he's created a trade in the city called the doll houses, which are basically like flesh markets, whorehouses essentially. Brothels. He's the ultimate artist of the city, and he's a liar. He's a profound liar, and he uses anyone he can to his own ends. So he's a man of many faces and many masks.
Wow.
So people who read the book will. It's like some people like him, some people hate him, but that's Carmen hates him. Carmen wants to put him in an oven.
Can you explain?
A hydraulic press.
Is this trailer? This is a trailer for your book. I'm just playing right now on screen.
Oh, this is the teaser. Yeah.
Did you do the fabric animation here?
I did the artwork was done by my friend Jade.
Okay.
And then I used that artwork and did like if you let it play, you'll see like
yeah, I'll let it play.
Some of the I wanted to sort of do a nice bit of
wow, stained glass a little bit, kind of.
Sort of like, so it's like a tapestry. So you've got like Celia Dalton and Thalia's there because they're sort of, there's Lucy, Shale, Ludwig, Wiley. They're part of a plot line involving the press. Because it's funny that you mentioned that you studied journalism, because journalism is a big factor of the book.
Oh wow.
Those characters are involved in Ruthergush Ink House, and Inkers are essentially, they're the newspaper.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of.
Yeah.
You don't like what?
So I should not have done that because it was a waste of my time, and I never use my degrees ever, because then I got involved in editing, and now I just do. It's easy to network, and if people want an editor, they hire me. I don't need a resume, and journalism is dead. And so I wanted to be a movie critic, but it's like I can just do that on YouTube. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no point in learning any of that stuff anymore. At a university, you can teach yourself.
No, look. I'll make you feel a lot better now. Yeah. I'll give you my. Do you want to hear my experience?
Go for it.
So, I got my GCSEs, and I went to college. Now, college in the UK isn't university. It's like a sort of middle ground. It's when you're 16, 17. You know.
Yep.
So I went to college, and I studied film, I studied art, and I think it was like computer science or some shit like that. I don't know. I was just fucking. I just.
That's anyway, that's what you do. You don't know what you're doing, so you just do what you think you should do.
I just did stuff. So anyway, I got expelled from college for making my art teacher cry. She was very into modern art, and she didn't like my computer animation stuff. She didn't think it was real art, and we would argue all the time. And eventually, I think she was just having a bad day. I feel some amount of guilt because I was probably annoying, but I was trying to fucking stick up for myself, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got expelled, and I decided that, well, what I will do is I'll go to university anyway. So I didn't have any A levels, but I did have an animation showreel. So I sent my showreel to Edge Hill University, and they accepted me. So I actually got into university a year early to study animation. That is until I got expelled from there.
Wow.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was it was expulsion. It was more like a "you can't fire me because I quit" situation.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't particularly get along with the lecturers there. I had a big chip on my shoulder. I'll take some responsibility on my part. Like, I had a lot to prove, and they were, to be. I'll. It's complicated. They weren't teaching me what I wanted to learn, which was animation. That
sounds very familiar, man. I almost quit.
It is very familiar. It's not just me. It's a lot of people. Like, there's a big problem in these art schools about not teaching you the skill. They teach you the theory, and it's like, okay, that's good, but where the fuck's
the theory? You can you learn separately. You become obsessed with the art, and you study the theory on your own because that's your hobby, that's your passion. They shouldn't be it shouldn't really be a priority at universities, in my opinion. I don't.
Yeah, well, yeah. So anyway, I left there, and the animation that you're seeing on now is all just like I'm a profoundly impatient person. I don't know why I can animate. I have no idea why this is a skill in my repertoire, but it is. I just somehow did it. But it was fortuitous because I've written this book, and I can adapt it as well. Like, if I want to, I can take anything I want from these pages and bring it to life in authentic detail. I will be doing a full adaptation of the 6 books when the August View series is finished.
Wow. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. This is book 1. You have 6 planned.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. And you're going to be doing a full-on 3D animation of the 6 books?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
I will be directing it, and I'm going to control. I'm not going to go to any studio. I fucking hate studios. I hate officialdom. So I'm going to personally adapt the book into an animated series, and then just sell that to whatever,
to whoever
wants.
I don't know if you're familiar with a movie called Mad God, which is Phil Tippett. Like, I think we talked about him earlier. He did the Jurassic Park visual effects on the original Jurassic Park movie. I think it's Phil Tippett, but anyway, he made a film called Mad God. It's stop motion, and I believe Shudder bought the rights to it, and that's the app that I ended up watching it on. But so is it something like that maybe, or
no? I will never sell the rights to my work.
Okay.
Not for any price.
Okay.
I will license the work,
yeah,
and allow to show it. You know, or I can just show it myself. I'm very wary and skeptical of Hollywood and big streaming services. They ruin things. I don't like them. They take control away from you. And I learned this at, at a very young age. My dad, successful musician, got fucked over because people had the rights to his work, and he had an album called First Night. And the song First Night, to my knowledge, is the only song to be played twice in a row on BBC Radio.
Oh, wow.
It might have been Valley of Evergreen. It was one of them. And the presenter at the time said, that was so good, I'm going to play it again. And I don't think that's ever happened. And it was a hit record.
Wow.
But no one could buy it because the studio didn't have faith that it would sell. And so this massive opportunity just passed them by. And you don't get that again, and that's why you don't trust people with your licensing. That they will fuck you over. And also, I one of the first books I ever read was Eragon.
Oh yeah. We got a super chat donation just quickly. Sean donated $5. Thank you for the super chat. Yes, he said he's going to make a full animated series. Nice. He's excited.
When all the books are done, yes.
When all the books are done. That's exciting, Sean. I agree.
Yeah. I read Eragon, and I thought, oh, this is cool. I mean, obviously, it's got its problems, like narratively speaking, but I like the book. And I imagined all these things with it, like, oh god, I can see it in my brain. It's like a movie. And then my brother was like, they made a film of that, and I'm like, no. And then we were in Lady Green, which is like a fucking garden shop, and they had it for sale there. I was like, oh, it's the book that I like. I'll watch that. Well, that's gonna be great, isn't it? And it was fucking diabolical. It was the worst. It was fucking shit. And I just remember thinking to myself, fucking hell, this guy. That's when the penny dropped. Like, the guy who wrote that book obviously had no control over this film, and we haven't seen any adaptations of these books since. And I remember seeing like him, the writer, I think Christopher Pellini, which is he tweeted about my work once, which was a nice little moment for me. I did an animation of one of my characters, Fleischer, who's a dragon, and he tweeted that. That was nice,
right? And
because of that, I saw that's the fucking Helgen animation test, right?
I backed out of it because I wasn't sure.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I just, fuck YouTube. Anyway,
I hate YouTube. Yeah.
Anyway, so he had to try and, I don't know, it was like this thing where he was trying to get his work adapted, and it's very clear to me, like, some people write these things and then they don't own it or control it. It's like, look at Lord of the Rings. Sorry, Lord of the Rings. Oh, you could argue Lord of the Rings, but look at Game of Thrones. Do you honestly think that George Martin was happy with the way that ended?
Well, to be fair, the first 4 seasons were really good, and I think he was happy. Yeah,
because he was involved at the beginning.
He was involved,
and then he's like, oh well, fuck, you could keep this going for like 3 more seasons, and then these 2 directors were just like, oh no, let's just wrap it up. We got a Star Wars deal, and here's the issue. George Martin was powerless to stop it. This is his work. So the idea of my book being adapted by Amazon Prime, and they're like, well, let's make Lucy Lacemaker say this, and it's like this highly politically charged statement, like, you know, fucking I can't stand Blummeled Plump, you know. It's like, oh fuck,
yeah, or Stan, or just think about Stan Lee and his Marvel adaptations. I'm sure he's probably not super happy with all of it, you know.
He's dead,
I mean, well, now he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a fuck. But like, whenever they make your characters say things you don't want them to say, or if they change their, you know, gender or whatever you don't want them to do,
they like my book does not go into any detail on like the divide between sexes or genders or what have you, because in the animal kingdom it's not a point of, it's not a topic there. And so when you have a female character in a position of power in my book, it's because they are highly competent people. Like it's not because of one thing or another. Same thing with the male characters. There is no crap like that. It's just they are what they are, and people are free to enjoy them. The idea of that being perverted, you know, puts me on edge. So that's why I would never give it to someone else, because they would see some of these characters and they would make them wrong.
Yeah,
not well.
And chat's agreeing with you, and they're having their own little conversations. Somebody mentioned Percy Jackson. I just wanted to say that while I agree with you, there has been, I mean, it's complicated for the most part. Like 99% of the time, you're right. However, I personally think Blade Runner is better than the Philip K. Dick book. I also think Jurassic Park is better than the book. So like, occasionally, once in a while, you know, Hollywood will do a good job, but like, I
agree that some adaptations can be better.
Right. Not often.
I don't particularly like Blade Runner.
Okay. Well, we disagree. We finally disagree on something.
Yeah. Well, I don't. Well, nothing happens in it. Like it's like you've got like 80% of the film is this, and then it all wraps up in the last 20%. It's like fucking hell. Like the main character isn't really directly entangled until like he happens to show up at this place at the end. I don't know. It's a bit sloppy. I like
That's
the
fair.
visuals.
It's very moody.
You know?
It's very moody. There's the noir visuals, the soundtrack, and yeah, it hits people differently. I understand what you're saying. I think it's a masterpiece, but that's fair.
I judge all fiction based on its primarily based on its writing and what it has to say. Blade Runner has a great many interesting things to say. I don't think it's a bad film. It's just I think it could have been. I think the execution was a bit sloppy. I think it could have been told in a more economical way.
Yeah, that's fair. Can I ask you about this up on the screen right now? Whenever maybe you're behind, but there's this there's this green orb surrounded by a bunch of stuff.
That's the city. So like
you've
got
that's the city.
The orb. So okay. So what I'll do? Hang on. I'll
the orb. If you want to share a picture, I can blow your screen up.
Right. That's the oh fuck. That's what you're looking at. It's the
exterior,
and that's the interior. So it's 3 districts. So if I find the
the
description
How do people move around in this space?
They move around through I can explain to you. It's called it's Mandosian doorways, which are little cuts or stitches in space-time, which allow them to travel from one point to another. So if we go to here,
CLS Studio. I just wanted to respond. Somebody asked my favorite book. My favorite book ever is probably Watership Down.
Okay, Carmen. He just said his favorite book was Watership Down.
Yeah. Oh boy.
That's like one of our favorites as well.
Let's go. Man, I read that when I was like 13. Man, it blew my mind. But I also love The Hobbit. I love The Lord of the Rings. I'm a big fan of the original book that Stalker is based off of. It's called Roadside Picnic, the Russian film Stalker in the video game franchise. I like Frankenstein, the book. Ray Bradbury is my favorite author. I think he's a genius. Something Wicked This Way Comes. Yeah, those are that's all I'll say. I read a lot, but yeah. What were you saying? I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Oh, now he's muted again. He'll be back. But yeah, guys, I like reading. I like horror a lot. Yeah. There he's back. He's back.
Hello.
Yep, you're back. I hear you.
So yeah,
what were you saying? Go ahead.
You were asking like about the city and how they travel.
Yeah, yeah.
So the way it is there are these doorways called like Mandosian doors, and it's little stitches in space time. So if I find a little extract, I can explain it to you better.
Space time. Do you have to learn quantum physics or anything like that, or string theory?
I've definitely done anything that I talk about in the book that's scientific. I've researched.
Okay.
But of course it is science fiction. So you do take some liberties, yeah, here and there to make it work, because there's a lot of stuff, of course, that we don't know about reality. So if you're writing about a culture that's figured out things that we haven't,
right, you
can make educated guesses.
For sure, yeah. It has to be consistent, but I'm sure you've probably mapped all that shit out ahead of time. Well, actually, let me ask you that. And did you do your world building did you have a set universe in mind while you were writing, or is this something that is fluid? Like, did you have the logic, the magic system, or whatever you want to call it, already determined before you started writing, or?
No.
Okay.
So I had a rough idea of what I wanted to achieve narratively.
Okay.
Starting to rain. So I had a rough idea of what I wanted to achieve narratively, and then I just started writing. So I didn't go into the first book with all too many notes. I just started.
Okay.
So I mentioned before, like the ink houses. These are the Kivik press.
Yeah.
And they, so originally, they weren't a thing when I wrote chapter 1.
Okay.
They became a thing when I got to that point in the story, and it was all very organic. So I thought, well, Ludwig needs to work somewhere. And originally I was thinking, well, he could work at a book borough, which is a library. And then I thought, well, maybe what about the newspaper offices? What if we do this? So then I started looking at maybe Ruthergush, this ink house that's down on its luck, and he works there. And then Lucy could work there as well, because she's got a connection there. So in the same way, if you look at complex things evolve organically, that's true of animals, it's true of technology, and it's true of stories. So if you want to write a complex narrative, you've got to start off with a skeleton, with a through line and a purpose. Purpose is key. And then you can build up the meat around it, go through the drafts, and eventually you'll end up with something like this that makes sense.
Jeez.
So it's organic evolution.
Yep.
Of a story, instead of just trying to fucking. You can always tell when a book is written for an arbitrary purpose versus a book that is written to actually explore a certain idea. And I think certain books can get too bogged down in the details. I think Shad's book suffers from this. I think Way of Kings suffers from this.
Right.
Where they get too focused on the magic system, or they spend pages and pages talking to you about the logistics of how a spell is cast, and you're sat there thinking, what the fuck am I reading? Is this a story or what? Or is this a game? Yeah. So you need a through line. You need a sort of a nice organism to work with.
For sure, absolutely. You were looking through your book to find something. I forget. I interrupted you.
Shit, sorry.
I interrupted. No, you're fine.
Yeah. So a description of the city. Here we go. The Underberth was a city of extraordinary vision comprised of 3 prime districts, the Casino, Hamerlow, and Thum. First, imagine a black, hollow sphere of architecture roughly the size of Saturn. A thick complex of labyrinthine towns, vast lakes, and twisting cobblestone streets. This dense crust of metal, brick, wood, water, and stone was the Casino, the largest city district. From Casino streets, one could look to the sky and glimpse the far side of the city curving overhead. Next, imagine a smaller sphere around the size of Mars, hanging at the center of the Casino like the nucleus to an atom. This green orb was the Thum, home to all things political, historical, and important. It was host to libraries great and sprawling, mosaic bathhouses of oceanic scale, magnificent courts and lecture halls and quiet reading rooms, home to the proudest thinkers, writers, fighters, and legislators, the thinking mind of the city. Finally, imagine 5 blue rings textured by streets, rivers, and towns orbiting the Thum, each tailored to a specific pillar of civic quality. This was the Hamerlow. Built upon these proud halos were the finest of markets, gardens, institutions, and cityscapes, accompanied by the symphony of life, the bustle of a free economy, the joyful entertainers about their rounds. So it's like 3 districts, the Casino, Hamerlow, and Thum.
Right.
And the way you get through these are these doorways called Mandosian doorways, which they're little stitches in space-time, allowing access to wherever you need to go.
Well, that's freaking amazing. I want to give you a applause there because the writing is really good. Congratulations.
Well, it's imperative to be clear when describing something that is complicated. So you don't have much room for poetry per se, but it's more important to be concise when you're explaining something complicated. One thing that annoys me when people are writing is they think that every single line is apt for poetry. And so, you get bogged down in the details and you're not really focusing on what
probably like people trying to copy like H.P. Lovecraft or something, because that's what he does.
There's a time and place. When you're describing something that is highly complex, you need to be clear.
Yes.
Your main objective is to make sure that the reader understands what you're saying. Yeah. You good, Carmen?
I agree.
Carmen's dying.
Oh no, she's got that new X virus. Well, China's doing some weird stuff. Anyway, no, that makes complete sense to me. I totally agree. Although what you did describe in a simplistic way is visually sort of poetry in a way. I was kind of your imagination, but yeah,
the idea itself is the art.
Yeah.
And if you over explain it, you do a disservice to the art.
Yeah.
You going through it in a list, like first imagine this, then imagine this, and finally imagine this, and this is how it works. It's very easy to imagine, and it's not like this big fucking thing. There are certain parts where I do go off on highly detailed and flowery descriptions of characters because I enjoy it. But there's a time and a place for all sorts of things when you're writing something. You've got to sort of instinctively know when those things are.
Yes, and that's a lot of reading, a lot of just absorbing different kinds of media, storytelling. It's like, there's a whole process. So that's interesting. So you just sort of describe the location, the setting. Like I said, I'm gonna listen to the audiobook when that's available. The audiobook. Is that gonna be on Audible by any chance?
Yes, it'll be available wherever.
That's incredible.
We're finishing the recording. Like, we've got to re-record some bits. Yep. It's currently being edited now, and then of course we've got to do the mixing because we're gonna have some music. So we're looking at either end of February or end of March. I might probably be end of March because I don't want to rush it.
And where do you want people to get this book?
People can get it on order wherever they want. Really, it's the same product.
Okay, because I wasn't sure if you prefer people go to Amazon or wherever. Like, what benefits you more? So in the description of my video, guys, I linked his channel and I linked the video or the Amazon link for the hardcover. But yeah, so it's called Amigdala. But damn, dude. Well, okay. I had a list of things that I.
I'll tell you what. I'm gonna go for a piss.
Oh yeah, go for it. Go for it.
You consult your list.
I can talk to my chat. So chat. First of all, if this is the first time on the stream, basically every Wednesdays I try to stream and talk about my hobbies. I'll have guests on. I'll have random people on. And we'll just do different stuff. So, but I love talking about art, mainly anime, gaming, movies, all kinds of stuff. Love it. I'm also on Twitter. If you guys are on Twitter, Lofti Pixels. But thank you for watching. This is the kind of stuff that I like to talk about. I actually I'm friends with a lot of artists, comic book artists, and writers, and I have a couple in backlog in my stream. There's a couple interviews with there's a girl named Rini. She wrote and did the artwork for her book Fiendish, which is really cool. I'm sort of in the process of outlining a cyberpunk gothic horror comic at the moment. It's in very early stages, like character development stuff, but I love talking about this stuff and it's very entertaining. Oh, he's back. So I'm excited to have him on it to talk. I was just talking about how much I enjoy the process. Now, this is actually kind of back to what we were talking about in the beginning, which is, bro, like imagine artificial intelligence. Okay, imagine if there was a Sam Fennah AI model that just like spit out your book. He's like books 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Number one, I wouldn't have this conversation with you at all. So all the valuable insights that we just talked about, some people in the chat were saying that this is like, somebody's Frilled said that this is helping her writing or his writing, you know, because you're talking about like the process, and people seem to enjoy this conversation. So all that shit's gone. That's never going to happen again. It's just going to be me going like this and then explaining what I like about the product, and then saying it's a nice product. And then I like what I got out of the story, and it's just like, well, none of this conversation will ever happen. You know? Yeah. It's kind of depressing.
The thing we're talking about is the artistic process. If I like, there are times where I'm thinking like I need to describe something. It happens a lot. Like
yeah.
How do I describe this room? And I can see it in my brain,
right?
And it's there, and it's like, okay,
right.
But I need to do it in a way that's layered and that the audience is going to, you know, receive well, and I can't afford to be unclear. And
you have to do it in a way that's personal to you, like how your own perspective.
It has to come from me, and so. If you ask an AI to do that, it will go through it mechanically, and it might create a description that seems apt,
right?
But it will miss all of the little things that I would put in that separates my writing. Like I like to harken back to I write a lot through my own memories of places and people, and I remember how it feels to be in those sorts of places. So like, you know, I remember as a kid, Christmas morning, going downstairs, and like rays of sunshine were coming through the you know, thick, heavy curtains, and I could see the dust particles floating around, and it was a very warm and inviting sort of feeling that I felt. Yeah. And when I want to describe a scene in the book, you know, I'll harken back to that memory and use that to make other people feel what I felt. That's the beauty of language.
Yeah.
And AI can't do that. It can't draw on memories that it doesn't have.
And it's not it might, and even if it's something you can, like if I come up with an AI drawing or a painting of something that I think, like a lighthouse with a dark cloud or something, sort of like that reflects my current mood, it's just spitting out like what it sort of generally thinks of what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling, and it's like, it's not exactly what I'm feeling, but but then you as like because you created that by typing in a prompt,
Well, I'll give you. I can think of a very specific example. What I'll do is I'll read you a sentence.
Yeah, sure.
And then I will give you the exact memory that led to that sentence existing in the book. Because there's a lot of things that you've got to draw on.
Yes.
And use in order to make things feel profound. People don't want to be.
Well, you're talking about inspiration. You're talking about inspiration from your own experience, right? Sort of in being inspired by your existence. Now, you can also be inspired by other artists, which is also a problem with AI because that's also sort of going away. It's like we were talking about that earlier too. Like, if you think Watership Down is a fascinating book, you loved it and you're inspired by it, maybe you kind of use that as an inspiration for a character in your book or something. But like,
well, here's the line, right?
Yep.
So for reference, light in this world, it's not like in candles or light bulbs. It sort of grows through the world like sort of liquid magic. So you have phases of light and color that light the streets.
Okay.
So this is the line. Gatsby put his elbows to the handrail, staring off into the empty auditorium, dimly lit with coils of green and winks of red, like a forest of moving magical berry bushes. Now, that's a rather simple line, but that came from when I was a kid. My mum and dad would take me to Gulliver's World. It's like a theme park for kids.
Yep.
And they'd have Santa's Grotto. And you would take a little train and you would go through the forest and you would get off and you would go through this magical grotto. And they had this sort of walkway wreathed in green leaves with glowing magical sort of cherry lights, and that feeling is what I wanted for that scene. I wanted the characters and the reader to feel exactly as I felt as a child walking through that little magical forest. And so that specific description, I drew on a memory that I had, and that's the human element. And that's just a line. That's a simple line. So when you apply that to narrative and character and plot, it becomes this this intricate human experience that you're sharing with people. And sharing is the point of art. You're sharing your insights with your fellow animals. And if it all comes from a computer, then you're not gaining the insights of another living thing, and that's the point of art.
Yeah.
So
and a lot of the times you're sharing with visual art, you're sharing your style. You're a person, like, because you might not even try to have a style, you just do sometimes. Like you can't help it. And that's beautiful. Like somebody who has their own style just because that's how they draw, or that's how, that's beautiful, and that needs to be kind of maintained. And, one of the things Shad bothers me about what he kind of said about his AI art is that like the final product that the AI did 90% of, or 95 or whatever percent of the thing, and he did some adjustments to it. The final product he thought looks beautiful, and therefore it's inherently valuable because it looks beautiful, and that's what he likes to look at. But
good
like,
good for the man.
But what's the difference between that and like just printing out a random picture from Google and putting it on your wall because you like that character? There's no value beneath any of it. It's just like, oh, I like this character, that's pretty, and then that's the end of the conversation.
Well, again, I think that people should work for what they get.
Yeah.
I just believe that. I think strain and pressure is what leads to evolution, cultural, social, physical evolution. If you don't use this, simple, easy to remember. If you don't use it, you lose it, right? In nature, if an animal doesn't use one of its aspects, it fucking goes away. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller through mutation, and eventually doesn't fucking exist anymore, right?
Yep.
Same thing with the brain. If you do not use aspects of your mind, those aspects of your mind will weaken and corrode, and soon they won't be there.
Yep.
So use your brain, use your body, use yourself, and use your life, because you've only got one. You ain't coming back, sunshine. You're fucked after this. So why not go for that walk? Why not take the longer route? Why not struggle a bit, right?
Yeah.
It you know, and test yourself. Because here's the thing: how do you know a bucket doesn't hold? How do you know whether or not a bucket will hold water if you never pour the water in?
Right.
You've got to test yourself. You've got to accept the fact that you might have holes in your personality or your thinking or your logic or your life, but you need to fix them. And that can be uncomfortable, but so what? Do you want to live your life or not?
Yeah.
But, the way things are going, it's just, it's all fucking... It's the lure of convenience. People just want the most convenient life, and then they want to die. And it's like, okay, well, thank you, fuck off, bye.
Yeah.
You are of no use to me or this planet. If that's the life you want to live, fuck off to an island somewhere. If you're not participating in the world, then you might as well not be part of the fucking world.
Yeah, and convenience and sometimes a lot of the times people want like quantity over quality, and that's another problem. It's like content, right? Content, as many quick, efficient things that get spit out as fast as possible, so you can quote unquote enjoy the most amount of things or whatever that logic is.
It's not logic. It's just it's just rampant consumerism.
It's consumerism. But quickly, I don't know how much longer you have. I'm fine. Rambling. But chat, yeah. Thanks for joining everybody so far. We've had a big turnout. Can I ask you about or something I wanted to ask you about earlier about AI? What are your thoughts on okay, so for example, I would love to. I know a lot of comic book artists, and a lot of my friends have done campaigns and raised money, and that's kind of, there's this whole market of comic book artists that do it this way independently. Right. So I'm kind of dabbling in that, and then like I'm looking for an artist. I'm kind of doing that process. However, I've already I've written interesting characters that I really would like to see fleshed out, and I'm sort of visualizing them in my head. I cannot draw. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of a mood board. Or you're an artist. You know what that is probably, right? Like a thing that you send somebody that you want to commission a character for, and then they take your mood board and they make whatever you want out of that character. I've been using AI to sort of play around with visualizing some character concepts in my head that eventually I would like to take to an artist and have them do their own style for it. But what are your thoughts on, like, in your opinion, is that shady, or is that something you would avoid doing? Or what's the difference between what I just described and pulling images off of Google and say, hey, can you draw me a character like, this character or something? Like, what's the difference?
Well,
go ahead.
I cannot draw.
Okay.
Just to start with, like,
okay.
I can't draw for shit. So when I have an idea, even though I can't draw very well,
sure,
I'll sketch it out to the best of my ability, and it looks hilarious. But artists they're way more in tune than anyone thinks, and they can take the shittiest of sketches and do something with that. And I hire artists a lot. Like I pay various people in my community to do artwork for an idea that I have, because I might not have the time to realize it in CGI. The reason I always go to human beings is because, again, it's insight. I value. You okay, Connor?
I don't know why I just give thumbs up.
I value what they have to say on the idea. So say, like, there's a.
You're saying the expression of the artists is
important.
Is important.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree.
So like even though I can't draw, I can express the idea. Like, even if it's just typing it up, even if it's just writing it down. Like, here's the character that I have in mind, or here, not even the character, but like, here's the scene. Here's what I'd like to look at. the artist will then take that and work with me, and it's a collaborative process. Now, it's still my idea and it's still my character, it's my vision, but they're using their skills to develop this. When you have an AI doing it, that process, the development is lost. It's just simply transactional. And
right, that's correct.
The reason I don't draw is just because like I don't need to as much, because I can do things in 3D. I can work with clay. I work with my hands. I can write. So I have other outlets that I can explore, and there's nothing stopping anyone from just getting better at that. And if you want a mood board for a character, don't be shy about just sketching some scribbles and giving that to an artist. Trust me, they will work with you. And if you get a good artist, they will bring more to your character, to your idea and your vision, even if it's just feedback, like maybe we should maybe do this, maybe do that. I kind of like this idea. Ask questions of them. You know, what do you think about this? And like a lot of things. Like this book is fully illustrated, and it's illustrated by me and my wife. So like, you know, all the illustrations in the book, you know, these are the character models that I've made, and Carmen has sketched them out in a very authentic way. So it's a collaborative.
What's the order? Would you do the character model after the art is finished?
No, like these are character models that I've just made. Okay. You know, through like, so for me, like whenever I come up with a character, I go straight into Blender, I make them, and that's it. The process is it begins and ends at me, really. Yep. The only time that when I go to artists to explore something, it will usually be like a scene or a dynamic or something that I don't have time to look at. Sometimes it might be you know, a character that I'm thinking of, and I'm not quite sure which direction I want to go in before I expend all the energy making the character model. But, you know, you can still give them a description, and you can still, you know, draw over what they've drawn and say, could you make these ears longer? Could you do this? And I think that's way more fun. I have a lot of...
So I know exactly what you're saying. I've done that before. I have a character for my VTuber model that I can't afford right now, the rig, because it's expensive. It's like $1,500 for these things. Now, this is a free version that I have for my avatar. But I did exactly what you said. I commissioned an artist. I described what I wanted. I did feedback with circling things, crossing things out, changing colors, you know, different clothes, things like that. And I love it's a great process. I am curious though. So it sounds like you're saying that you think if I were to use an AI to come up with a character concept and give that to an artist, like, I'm just curious what you think about that in general, because that's something that I'm playing with the idea of doing. But go ahead.
I think the AI will diminish what you like, the clarity of what you want.
Okay.
It's better to have. Let's think of a way to say this. Let's think.
Well, because I might have an idea. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's better to have something that is a poorly drawn, brilliant idea than a brilliantly drawn, corrupted idea. Mm-hmm. And so I think it would be more valuable for you, even if you can't draw, to just scribble them out anyway. And I think that will actually be more helpful to the artist than the AI.
Interesting. So do you think it's possible that an artist might be sort of weirdly corrupted by an AI in a way that they feel like they have to like mimic it?
The AI will mistranslate what you want, because it will put forward embellishments that you don't intend, and then the artist will then look at that and say, okay, is this the style you want? Do you want that shading? Is this right? If you show them a blueprint, the artist knows that it's a blueprint, and they're more willing to be flexible and work with you to realize it. But when you show them an AI piece that looks finished, they're gonna look at that and think, okay, so I'm making this then.
Right.
So it's like you, again, like never on Carmen. Whenever when we've like done collaborative things and I've said like, can you draw this, and I've given you a sketch. What do my sketches look like? Yeah, Carmen's going to find you one of my sketches. And do you have like the finished piece, Carmen? Okay, Carmen is going to.
I'm
going to show you.
I
can put them up on screen.
I'm probably not a terrible artist, so I can do probably what you're describing, but I
guarantee you can draw better than me. I guarantee you can draw better than me. But the thing is, I'm not embarrassed by my lack of ability to draw. I because it's the vision that matters. Yeah. I know how to paint a picture and just
well, I used to do storyboarding for films that I wanted to make when I was in my early 20s. Like or late teens, I would do storyboards, and then that gave me perspective analysis, stuff like that. So I think I probably could do exactly what you're describing, and you probably did the same thing, like with your. Now you don't have storyboards; you're doing a book, and then you're animating things. I don't think so. Yeah. Do you when you do like perspective things, are you doing that in Blender? In like
I don't really storyboard my stuff because it's just me doing it. Like I work when it comes to my animation. I work with myself like a lot.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
interesting.
I don't really need to worry too much about that.
You know what's weird though? I know what you're saying. I totally get it. The weird thing is, I don't know. I'm sure you've done cool things with AI. Have you used Midjourney?
No.
Oh, you haven't used Midjourney?
No.
Okay. Or Bing.
I think everyone's fucked around with AI. Just like
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah. Like I don't see a problem with like using AI for like just for shits and giggles.
Right.
Because the cat's out the bag now. You're not going to stop it by boycotting it and saying, "Well, I'm not using it." I was like, "Well, everyone else is." So
no,
like,
you're not.
I don't take issue with people just fucking around with things. There is an argument to be made for where this data is coming from.
Yeah.
So it's
well, the point I was trying to make is like it's a weirdly compelling feeling that if I'm just on my computer, I'm writing my character and I'm thinking, okay, what does this guy look like? And I know what he sort of looks like, and then I have Midjourney right next to me, and I go, you know what? Fuck it. What let me just describe him to Midjourney, and then it poops out a character, and I go, you know what? It's kind of cool. Like I can't deny that. You know what I mean?
The thing is that's the corruption. You describe it to Midjourney.
I know.
And Midjourney finishes your idea for you, and then you say, "Oh, that's great. I'll just take that."
I know.
So all like the extra percentage, however much is missing, is gone. It's not yours anymore. Midjourney did that.
You're right. Now, there's the remedy to that. In my process is finding an artist that has a unique style, and pretty much just doing what you said, which is giving them character descriptions, not influencing them with AI art. Now, I don't know how you feel about like pulling character references from like other things, like if you're making a vampire, like pulling, can you give him a cape like Van Helsing or something? Like that's sort of another way of that you can influence an artist, but it's you know what I mean, like from like Google Images, like pull a hat.
I know what you mean,
but like
but again, like maybe this is just I don't do that too often. Like whenever, maybe it's just because my characters are so weird that there's nothing really to reference.
You can't reference.
Like where would you start? Like
you can't. So your characters can't. I can't think of another thing it's similar to.
So there's most of the time when I'm doing references, I'll do like, like nature. Like I'll say, okay, could you make the face look more like this animal, and could you give it more like this type of clothing or stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think some of those are hard, but there's some of those.
Do you have some of your doodles? Your doodles?
Yes, I do. Okay.
Are they really bad? Are they so bad that people are going to leave my stream?
Like you can put them up. Do you have the finished Bamforth one, Carmen? All right.
I used to draw Dragon Ball Z
Yeah.
characters when I was a kid. I was obsessed with it. I would just draw my own Dragon Ball Z characters. And then I would draw monsters. What else did I draw when I was a kid? Oh my god. Pokemon. I feel like everybody does that. I have binders of stuff from my childhood.
I'm gonna send you in like just a few, like a minute or so.
Oh, you're good. Yeah.
I wish I could find the ones from the Celia test.
Yeah, I know. God, they would be funny.
Who's the artist that you're talking about? Is it Carmen?
Carmen is who I work with most of the time. On
Okay.
like, she's the only person I work with on the book.
Okay.
And then when it comes to like some character stuff, like I'll go to other artists because like I like varying styles.
Nice. Varying styles are good. Are you talking about like your book for like visual inserts, like just different artists?
No, just like if I have like say for example in the second book, if I want like a character to show up at like at some point, like I quite like this idea. Before I commit to making them in 3D, which can take hours, or days even, I'll just throw a concept out to someone in my community, say, hey, how much could we work on this, and and they'll be like really helpful, and so one thing I love doing, I fucking love this as well, is going to an artist with an idea and then going to another artist
yeah
with the exact same idea and seeing how two different people adapt the
I love that.
the thing.
That's exciting because you'll get dramatically different results sometimes. Like I did this with one of my characters. One of my
part of the fun.
Yeah, one of my characters has a sort of a pet / friend that's a fruit bat, and I had this like cute design that I in mind, and I gave it to two different artists, and they gave me two completely different styles of a fruit bat that they thought, and I was like, they're both cool, cute in like their own completely different way. It was funny.
Right. So I'm going to show you my sketch versus the finished thing, all right? So you can put these up on screen for everyone to see, just to show you this.
Are you sending it to me in the Discord?
Yeah, in the general, yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know if here. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can figure this out.
You should be, if you're using OBS, you should just be able to drag and drop them on screen.
General. Oh, okay. Okay, hold on here.
Yeah.
Hold on. I think I can. I just want to make sure this works. There we go. Whoops, hold on. Holy crap. So there's four of these things.
Yeah, there's two examples. So there's one before, one after, one before, one after.
So this is what you're talking about.
Yeah. So like that's what I show. That's what I say to Carmen. So Carmen, I'll wait for you to get it up on the screen.
Yeah, it's up.
Okay.
The first one.
So it's like I want the face to look like this shape, these eyes, this mouth, and then Carmen works with that. I'm just waiting to see it on your stream.
It's like a mustache, a beard.
Yeah. See, like you've got the information's there. There's the hat, the eyes, the mustache. Now show the after. Show what she did. Show in the next one.
Is it this black and white one?
Yeah, black and white one.
Yeah, you're just a little behind. I popped it up.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. So like, you've got all the information is actually there.
Wow.
For Carmen to work with. And she adapts it, and it's like, oh, that's it. That's exactly what I meant, because it's simple, but it's pure. You see what I mean? Like it's like it captures the shape and the essence of the character. If you show the other one,
yeah. Oh yeah, let me go to the other
before
one.
and after.
Hold on a second.
Yeah. Okay. I found an.
So what is
Oh my
this
God.
blue? What is this blue thing that I'm looking at?
That's like the puppet in the background. I was like, I just want there to be like some fucking puppet there, and then Carmen obviously did it. Hang on.
So she just made her own puppets.
Hang on a minute.
Is this?
Well, we spoke on call, like we were on a call, like talking about it, and I was describing like how this one could maybe look a bit like Celia, and so like, but those are basically just like the guidelines that Carmen went to, like for the shape. So if you show the after one as well for that one, I've got the funniest example now.
That's crazy.
So I'm gonna send you the funniest one now.
Oh no.
Of like these two fucking automatons, like.
So these things here, it looks to me like there's a cat, maybe, and then a person. Then they're both holding something. One looks like a hat.
Like, so I just wanted to like give Carmen an idea of like, these are two animatronics. One of them's like a feline with a hat, and the other one's like more like a humanoid shape. And then if you show the thing that Carmen did.
Okay, here's the final one.
The final one.
This is
very
different, very different. But
yeah.
but it has the concept. Has the idea.
we were on call talking about this at the time.
No,
So
wow. See,
oh, you weren't in the room, but we were talking about it. So it was like, this was like part of like, these are just back and forth exchanges. But this is an example. Go on.
Do you? So if you don't like okay, what am I trying to say here? If you don't like the suit design that she made, like the guy in the suit, you could just be like,
about it.
You could just be like,
no.
Hey,
it'd be
can
like,
you, can you?
She
change?
would, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So so I would send her like, these scribbles, these awful. Now the reason they're so simple is because Carmen knows me and I know Carmen, and so there's a shorthand between us. But that's an example of how simple these shitty scribbles can be, and how an artist can embellish them and bring them to life. And so if Carmen designed these two animatronics, she would send me a first pass, and I would say, okay, now maybe make the suit like this, now maybe make the hat like this and the eyes like that, and we talk about it. It's two artists collaborating,
right?
And it's fucking hilarious and silly, but it's way better than AI, because it's such a human interact. Look at that fucking
it's bad, man. It's bad.
I can draw I can draw better than that, I promise, but it's just with Carmen I don't need to, because she knows me.
Yeah.
She has like, we've been together for fucking 6 years. She knows exactly the type of what I want out of these things.
Damn. That's insane. So that's what I don't think people quite understand is when you're working with an artist,
it's fun.
Well, maybe even more than half of the aesthetic design is the person not necessarily with the idea, but the artists. Like,
so like it's as much as you want. So like,
right.
Like when it comes to like the specifics of the design, like what I showed you just then, that's my first pass of like, here's the concept and then the finished thing. But in between is a developmental phase between us, where we go back and forth and develop these things. So like, again, with Carmen, it's like there's a shorthand between us. She already knows exactly what style I want, because she knows who I am.
Yep.
She was she was the first person to ever read the book. She knows the style inside and out. But there's still a developmental phase for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have as much control as I want. And if it's a background asset or something that it's not it's whatever, the artist can have creative liberty over that, and that's fine. But if it's something more specific, I'll go over and I'll sketch over it, and I'll say, could you do this? Could you do that? Could you do this? And I'll draw over what they've done, and I'll say, could you extend this? And you can be very meticulous.
Well, would you ever do something like very ultra specific in like Blender or something, and then give it to her and then say, could you just do exactly this perspective, like this? You know, like a close up of an eye glowing with some light reflection or something.
I've done things like some of the illustrations in this very book.
Yeah.
The character models weren't finished at the time.
Yeah.
So like for Barnaby, for example, let's find him. He's one of the characters somewhere near the end. If I wanted to include a character illustration for a character whose model isn't fully finished, I would show Carmen the closest thing that I have to a finished model. Like here's the final illustration for Barnaby.
Oh,
right,
Barnaby.
Yeah. Now, his model doesn't look like that. His model's very simple at the moment. It doesn't have all the grizzle. It doesn't have like the nasolabial folds. It doesn't have like the sideburns. I drew that on with like a blue pen, like similar to how you saw it. So said, could you add this here, add this here? Could you add these lines here? And Carmen did that. So it's like it's, you know.
Well, that's so he does he have like the antlers and stuff?
He had the antlers, but they weren't like ribbed.
Yeah.
So Carmen also added those details in as well. Carmen added
Yeah.
And some of the characters didn't have hair because it's like there's a Helgen illustration where I wanted her hair to look a certain way, and so Carmen just drew the hair, like it's all illustrated hair, and I just showed Carmen the shape that I wanted, and she did it.
Wow.
But of course, it's Carmen's profound skill at work that's making it look like that. But it's my idea and vision that guides that you know into the way that I want it to be, and that's the process that I am proud to be a part of. The collaboration between two human beings that leads to something.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, there are some people that now Shad was talking about doing a fully AI comic book, and I'm like,
he's an idiot.
I'm like, okay, hold on a minute. He did say, to be fair, he did say that he was going to do his own book in a comic book format that he draws or somebody draws, and a companion AI version or something. But the AI comic book thing is dumb. I don't want to, especially when I'm paying for it. I don't want to buy a book that was. I support artists because I support artists because I like their art. I'm not just supporting artists because the final product is nice to look at. I respect artists and the effort that goes into the art and the imagination and all that stuff. With an AI art book, it's like, well, if I can get it for $3 and then maybe I'll buy it. But
it's just pointless. It's like, again, like, you know, sure you might be able to tell a story with that, but like, you know,
the collaboration is not there.
It's not there. Like, you know, I don't know. It just misses the point. Like, I don't know what Shad's getting out of it besides just money. And if you're an artist and you just want money, then you're not a very good artist. Money is a happy side effect of being good at what you do. I
think he said he just wants to tell as many stories as possible in the shortest amount of time, and like.
That's what a book is for.
Speed up the process so he can like pump out as many possible.
Well, guess what? Like, well, then his stories, his stories are going to be shit. Then, therefore, because you can't just pump out insightful content. You can't just pump that shit out. That's not how it works. You've got to fucking think about it first and decide. And this is the thing, like, you know, I've read Shad's book. I know more about Shad than he knows about me.
I didn't.
And I didn't want to shit on Shad's book in the stream when he was there because it wasn't appropriate at the time. And I don't want to shit on Shad's book now here, you know. But I will say this: there are problems with his writing. There are problems with his narrative structure.
Okay.
Like he focuses almost exclusively on the mechanics and the magical systems of his world, and not so much the plot or the narrative or any such thing like that.
Interesting.
It's very mechanically written, and these are the things that like I think he could work on, because there's potential in his concept. I think the concept is interesting, but he spends so much time, for example, describing a character falling through the sky for 9 hours, coming to terms with these superpowers while fucking screeching through the air. And I'm reading this thinking, this guy can't breathe. This guy's dead. he's coming to terms with this inner personal struggle is happening while he's like fucking flying through the air, fucking, giving it this. It's like, what the fuck is going on? It's like, and then he blows his legs off, and he's like, well, shit. It's like, where's
this sounds bizarre. I don't even know.
It is. It is
funny.
Bizarre. It is bizarre. There's a scene where the character screams himself to death.
Well, look,
and it's like, what's happening here?
Right.
There are elements of here. There are elements here that are good, that are interesting. But work on them. Spend more time on it, please. Yeah. Just develop it a bit more. One more pass, 2 more passes. Just another draft. Clean that shit up. Because right. I don't want to hear about your magic system if I don't give a fuck about the characters using the magic. And I don't, because you haven't spent the time on them.
Sounds like well, now to be fair, he's not here to defend himself, and I haven't read it, so I'm just letting you kind of do. Now, there's nothing wrong with criticism.
I don't want to be too critical because he's not here, and I didn't want to do it on the stream either because it wasn't the place. But if Shad's ever down to talk about it, but
no, but you know what though, he's a writer. So, I shit all over Rebel Moon. I watched Rebel Moon, Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. It's a horrible movie. I shit on it for like 3 hours. Is Zack Snyder here to defend himself? No, but that's what happens when you're a writer. You put yourself out there.
Here's the thing. I purchased his book.
Yeah, there it is. You have the right to criticize it.
Yes. I gave Shad money for an experience.
Yeah,
and in many aspects, I was left wanting.
That's fair.
Now, Shad is more than welcome to shit on other people's films and other people's stories, and they're not there to defend themselves. But to be honest,
how the internet works.
I know. I don't want to go too hard because there's a lot here that I would prefer to just
right.
Ask him. I think his book would have worked better if he did
Well, no, that would be a good conversation. Probably
it would be, but I haven't heard anything from Shad since, and I don't think he's ever going to do it because AI is one thing, but when it comes to fiction, this is something that I take profoundly seriously.
Yeah.
And I expect a certain degree of diligence.
There's this. I don't know if you're aware. There's this drama of that's always circulating, but content creators, YouTubers, sort of reviewing and critiquing each other's work is sort of it causes stupid, absolutely low IQ drama that people can't just criticize something and then the person just takes the criticism like a man and just says, oh, okay, that's your opinion, that's fine, you can have an opinion, but it causes this drama. And I understand, I'm aware of it, you're probably aware of the content creator drama. I understand it's a little different than saying that Zack Snyder can't develop a character to save his fucking life, but I understand kind of the where the dynamic here, but
I don't participate in that side of the internet on purpose. There's a reason. If you go to my channel, it's all content that I've created for people to enjoy or not enjoy. I don't give really, it's there. It's the type of content that I would want to watch, and it's clearly the type of content that a lot of people want to watch, and that's all I do. I create things. I am not the subject here. I'm not interested in showing up every 5 minutes saying, "Hey guys, if you want to understand me, read my book, read my books, watch my content. That's all you need to know about me. I'm just the puppet master. My place is behind the curtain. So when all these content creators come online and start shitting on each other, this is why I'm not that asked about going too hard on Shad's book, because it's not really my thing. I'd much prefer to just talk to him about it in private. I wouldn't even want to stream it. I would just want to talk to him about it and just share an experience like that. Not everything has to be content. I don't like it.
Well, I totally agree with you. I've done that with people. I've talked to them about their work in private. At the same time, part of the fun of being in a community sort of like this is interacting with many people and having discussions out in the open, because those conversations can be fluid and people have then they can react to what we're saying, and there can be a big dynamic, because because a lot of people appreciate content creator that they follow, they enjoy their perspective, like your perspective on a book you read, whether it's from another content creator or not. Like, people kind of want to hear what you have to say. So like, there's both sides. I understand. It's not all just like, we're doing it for the views, ha ha ha. Like, some of it's like a genuine community kind of engagement process.
I agree. I think some of it can come across as inauthentic.
Yeah.
Like when you get some channels that and all they do is
that's
shit on
true.
things,
that
it
is
can get quite exhausting.
Polar it's like a spectrum, right? That's this far spectrum of people that do it for the views, or they do it because they enjoy shitting on things or something.
Everyone likes to watch a video where someone's shitting on something that they also don't like. Very entertaining.
Yeah.
There's it's fine, but when it comes to like serious like discussions, when it comes to fiction, I don't put much weight in what they say, because unless they've impressed me with any amount of skill themselves, then
right.
I'm less inclined to listen to them.
Yeah,
that's just not, because here's the thing: you don't need to do something to be able to criticize it.
No,
but for me personally, as somebody who does do it, and I think everyone would agree with this, you respect people more when you see it when they're a peer, when they've gone through the same struggle as you, and they understand the fucking dynamics of what it is you're doing.
Yep, 100%.
Rather than just looking at it as content. Because it's not just content; it's an intricate.
It's supposed to be instructive and other things besides content. It's not just content.
For me, writing is the most underappreciated art form in the world.
It is.
It's the one thing, like you see a movie, it's like the director, their name up in lights, the actors, even like Hans Zimmer, John Powell, the musicians, and then all the way at the bottom, in the place that no one knows about, is the writer. And it's just like no one knows, like, The Dark Knight, Batman The Dark Knight, what a brilliant film by Christopher Nolan. Does anyone know who wrote that film? Those lines that you love so much? Heath Ledger was a genius. Whose lines are those? Who wrote them?
It wasn't Nolan. It was Jonathan Nolan, wasn't it? And David Goyer, or whatever his name is.
These people are just, they're ignored. They're not given their credit. No, they don't give a shit about writing. This is my criticism with the indie scene as well. You look at a lot of indie animations now. It's like animation. Yeah, but you got to fucking write the thing as well. What's the story here? What's happening? No one takes it seriously.
I was just talking about this the other day. When people do these outrage kind of outbursts about some shallow, I don't know, it could be some like genuine problem with the show, and they say, "Oh, I don't like this character race swap," or "I don't like this political message," or "I don't like the fact that Master Chief has his helmet off in the new Halo series." That's a genuine criticism, but that's not why the show is bad. The show is bad because the writing is terrible, and the writing is the core, I think, of anything. It's always comes down to the writing. It could be the most. You could have politics that you totally don't even agree with, and characters that you don't even like care about. But if the writing is good and the storytelling's brilliant, it's going to be engaging, and you might even like it. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. Like so much of like. If you take away the special effects and the actors and the cameras and the fucking 3D and all this crap, and you just you take any film and you translate it to a book. This is why I wrote a book, because it's like fundamentally storytelling it's got to stand on its own 2 feet. So like for me, it's like writing is the most important part of storytelling, and it's the most neglected as well. Like these people don't take it seriously, and it blows my fucking mind how unserious they are when it comes to telling a story. They're so focused on just portraying emotions and angst and shit and ideologies and crap. And it's like it's you're not doing your job. It just fucking annoys me, and there's so many things that are just like fucking.
It's a big problem. It's annoying. It's a big problem in Hollywood. It's a big problem everywhere, and gaming also. There's always exceptions. I know. There's always exceptions. Like, for example, you know, I would say the writing is not 100% always. I think this is what you said, but maybe you don't agree. But it's not always the key element. Sometimes, I don't know if you're a fan of like Andrei Tarkovsky or Terrence Malick, any of his films. Sometimes even like David Lynch or like obscure like art house directors. The script is sort of kind of fucking just not even there sometimes. It's it's more about the it could be an emotional thing, or it can be just an aesthetic, like a moving painting, like a Tarkovsky film or like an Ingmar Bergman film, right?
The thing is those things are celebrated anyway. Writing isn't. That like those things are fine, and those things also are not neglected. Writing is neglected.
It is neglected.
It's like if you look at something like oh god, let me think of an example. Like if you look at fucking whatchamacallit, fucking oh god, that
Pinocchio? Pinocchio?
You know that Pinocchio film by
Del Toro?
Del Toro.
Yes.
Right. There's a scene in that film where they're having a paintball fight in a fucking Mussolini training camp.
Yeah.
And an explosion takes place.
Yeah.
Pinocchio is launched through the air.
Yeah.
And he then lands on a mountain where the fox character is waiting for him. Who fucking wrote that scene?
I don't know.
Who was in the writing room with and said yep, and then he gets exploded onto a mountain and then they fight. What are you doing? This is animation. You can do anything. There are no limits to the things that you can do. There is no it's the one thing that you don't have an excuse for. This is why I will never forgive bad writing. There is no excuse for it. It doesn't require a budget. All it requires is a pen and a piece of fucking paper. You don't need special effects. You don't need big actors. You don't need big musicians or fucking orchestras. You just have to write it and have it make sense. So when it's done bad, fuck you. I am gonna take issue.
That's fair.
There's no excuse. There's no excuse for bad writing. Zero. I don't care how pretty it is. It's so annoying to me. It's so fucking crazy. Why can't you just fucking write something that makes sense?
Look. You're right. Although there's limits to people's abilities. There's also
get better writers then.
I mean, if a guy wants to make a movie and do it himself, and he's a writer director, like there's only so much that person can do. I understand what you're saying. I didn't think Pinocchio was that bad. I think we've had disagreements about writing in general, what's good and what's bad. I think you're very much more passionate about being a sort of perfectionist in the art of writing in terms of like what the final.
It's not perfectionist that you like. For me, it's like the utility of writing is surely to put forward a hypothesis or an experience or an idea, a philosophy, and this an insight, and share that with people. And you've got to have some form of through line for that.
Would you say your expectations are just much higher than the standards that we're currently set up?
Yes.
So if your expectations, if the pendulum was swinging in your direction and storytelling was really good at the moment, would you maybe be more lenient when the story is not quite that great, or like?
I'm not incapable of enjoying things that have bad writing. I love Transformers, and I mean the Michael Bay films, because they're profoundly stupid.
They're stupid,
but they're also they're entertaining. Here's the thing, though. This is the way I like to. Here's how we'll visualize it, right?
Yeah.
Writing has a utility. It has a purpose.
Wait. Before you go on that rant, I have to go quick. Refill my coffee. Give me like a minute. Is that okay?
Okay.
You go on that rant about writing.
All right.
I'll be right back.
You know what? I'm gonna go and get some tea.
Oh shit. Okay, you go first. You go first. I think, chat. This is interesting. I will say this. I've had some disagreements with Sam in private messages, and we're just we're friends, so we can disagree, and it's not a big deal. But maybe I'll let him say his piece when he comes back. But he expressed to me that he's not a big fan of Hayao Miyazaki. And I thought, okay, that's interesting because I think Miyazaki's a brilliant storyteller. Now, I don't necessarily want to get into a big Miyazaki debate tonight. Maybe we can do a whole stream about that at some point because that's a kind of a deep conversation. But like, Sam has very high standards for writing, and I respect it. I like the Pinocchio movie. I know exactly what he's saying though. I understand. I am very often triggered by bad writing, and I think a lot of people, like I said, they focus on dumb things. It's like, yeah, Master Chief has his helmet off. But the script is terrible. Like, can we talk about the script? Like, no, we got to talk about the stupid helmet for like all day long on Twitter every day of the week. No, if the helmet was on, the show would still be terrible. It doesn't, like, we got to have our priorities, guys. Anyway, that's kind of my own rant about that.
What about what?
I was ranting about people like complaining, like I brought up Master Chief. It's like, you want him to put his helmet on? Is that such a problem? Okay, if he puts his helmet on, then what? The story's still terrible, the writing shit. Then what? Like, can we have our priorities, please?
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
No, that's just a little rant. And I also kind of brought up the fact that you don't like Miyazaki, and I roasted you for it. But you know what? I told them we're friends, and it doesn't matter.
You didn't roast shit.
No, listen, I know, whatever.
We'll talk about that. It's not. Look, it's not that I don't like his films. It's just like,
I know
it's interesting. I'm confused. I'm actually conflicted on those films.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, like, I don't think.
Wait, were you going to go on a little rant about something before you?
Yeah, sorry. So it was not a rant. It was an analogy.
Oh, so yeah. Okay, give me like a minute. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get coffee.
So
keep talking.
Okay, I will. If you look at storytelling, like, you know, it has a utility, it has a purpose. That purpose can be whatever you want as a writer. Now, the purpose behind my book, for example, is to make people more conscious of the world in which they live and the various ideas that make it up. That's the function of my writing. You might want to do something else or whatever the fuck, and you're welcome to do so. But you have to have a point, right? You have to have a point. So let's think of it like a ladder. So you might have like a metal ladder, right? Which is very stable, very strong, very competently built, that will perform its task magnificently, right? And this might be a very well-made film, very strong writing, all sorts of stuff that fine. Then you might have another ladder, which is made of twigs and sap and pine and all this stuff. Now, that's a shit ladder. That's not going to take you very far. But you like the smell of pine and sap, and you like the aesthetic of the wood. And this is how I would like describe certain films that are poorly made, but enjoyable. So Transformers, for me, is the pine ladder. It's not very well made. It doesn't really have any chance of taking me anywhere. But I like it. There's something about the Transformers films that I just like. I like the sounds. I like the sequences. I like them. But the writing's awful. And it is awful. It's terrible. And the films do not provide me any value in the writing department because they're only really about very simple good versus evil shit that, that doesn't really matter. I'm not a furry, by the way, for fuck's sake. Look, let's just nip this one in the bud, right? You've got, let's see, the Egyptian mythologies. You've got Norse mythologies with various woodland sprites. You've got Ganesh, and you've got countless other examples through storytelling. And you've got Grimm's fairy tales with the big bad wolf and Disney and Mickey Mouse. So, here's the thing. Using characters that are not human is a tool for storytelling, and it's a valuable tool for storytelling. We were talking earlier about Watership Down, so you're not necessarily one thing or another just because you use a certain storytelling technique. Hello.
Sorry, I listened to the whole thing. I just went to get a drink.
Sorry.
Yeah, keep going. The Egyptian, you got all these mythologies.
Oh yeah, I was just explaining, like, when people try to dismiss like people's work in the modern age as like, oh, it's just furry stuff. It's like, well, people have used anthropomorphism to tell stories for thousands of years, so I don't think that really holds up.
Yeah. Well, that's its own. That's a.
So on the Miyazaki thing, right?
Well, wait. Before we get there, I would say Avatar, for me, is something that kind of fulfills the same purpose of Transformers to you, where I'm a big fan of Avatar too, and the first one's okay, but like,
it's fucking boring.
I don't think it's boring. I actually understand the story's not like very good. It's just sort of generic to me. It's like a generic story. It's not a bad story. It's just generic. It's just like this sort of nothing. But what I like about it is I like breathing in the life of the movie, and every James Cameron is sort of a genius when it comes to visualizing the world building of that film, and it's like it's really satisfying. Well,
it's just stuff.
Well, I think people use world building differently. I know what you're saying. I'm sort of saying like it makes me feel like I'm sort of there in the world, and I like that. Well, it's sensational. It makes me feel like no other movie makes me feel like. And I love the water. I love the lush jungles and the visual sort of style and I don't know. I just kind of get lost in the movie. And the action sequences are freaking great. Like, people kind of don't talk about that enough with Avatar. James Cameron is very good with action.
I think,
regardless if you don't like the movie, the action scenes are really cool. But other than that, we're going to disagree. But yeah,
I think Avatar. Fucking these headphones. God, I need a haircut. Avatar for me, again, it's like, I'm not gonna say, I'll never say someone can't enjoy something.
Yep.
You're wrong for liking it. It's whatever.
Right? No, you can't because when I watch it by myself, I'm not putting on a performance.
How many times have you seen Avatar 2?
4. Twice in theaters because of the experience is crazy in 3D. And then with my brother, and then by myself one time, I was like, I got a 4K TV. I'm gonna watch the 4K.
I just remember the part with the whale, and it's like, "Hello there, how is your child?"
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck's
No. Yeah. Like you
like,
can't.
Some anti-whaling film, like as if people in the movie theater are gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I'll stop killing whales." What the fuck am I supposed to do?
I know it's heavy-handed. I get it, but like you said, you can't tell somebody that they can't like something. Like I said, by myself, I'm not putting on a show or anything. I'm just alone, and I'm I like watching the movie. Like, I don't know. I think I get, if somebody tells me that like they really like watching a bad horror movie, because I'm very sort of snobby about my horror movie preferences. Like, I'm sort of
really.
Yeah, like, David Cronenberg, David Lynch. I kind of like
what's the best horror film of all time for you? Well, top 3.
Top 3? Alien, the original, The Fly with Jeff Goldblum.
Never seen that one.
And probably The Thing, the original, the 80s.
I agree with 2 of them.
Yeah.
Okay. So, on the topic of James Cameron,
go ahead.
I think James Cameron ruined Alien.
I don't like Aliens, bro. I'm not a huge fan of Aliens. I agree. I don't think he ruined it, but to me,
I think the reason the Alien franchise has struggled to make a good film since Alien 2 is because Alien 1 presented us a dark, mysterious cavern that we don't know how deep it goes. And James Cameron shone a flashlight down there and said, "Oh, it's only 2 feet deep. They're just insects that you can kill, and they screech when they die. So they're just bugs." So he basically took the mythology of the alien and simplified it to a zombie formula, and every film after that now has to obey that very limited idea that they're just insects. Whereas the original Alien was way more macabre and interesting.
Well, the original, the second film. It's fascinating. He did what you described. You turned it into a corridor zombie shooter, like a Doom kind of action movie. You're just like blowing away insects without any kind of threat or like stakes. I I do think it's an entertaining action movie. The original
Yeah,
Alien,
it's great action,
yeah, the alien is mysterious. It's supposed to be this like organism that evolved over millions of years and for like the perfect like killing machine, basically. And that's the best part of the movie. Now, you know, the new movie just came out, and the director said, he said this. He's like, all of this stuff about like the black goo that created the alien and like the Prometheus and Alien Covenant storyline. He said, none of that's useful for me because I like the concept of an alien that has existed for millions of years and evolved into the perfect killing machine. And that's what I'm going to do with my new movie. So I'm actually excited for the new Alien. I don't know if people knew that. You can go look it up.
I heard that. Do you want to know how I know that H.R. Geiger was the genius behind Alien and not Ridley Scott?
Yeah.
Because as soon as Ridley Scott made an Alien film without Geiger, it was shit.
Yeah, well,
if you look at in Alien Covenant, you have a group of scientists landing on an alien planet. Yeah. No space helmets on. One of them smoking a fucking cigar. And I saw on the behind the scenes that the actor had just a cigar in real life. He was just smoking one. And Ridley Scott said, "Oh, that's great for your character. Keep that in." And it's like, and I was just like, Ridley Scott, man, just over here a second. These are fucking scientists on an alien planet. They don't know how flammable the atmosphere is. They're breathing in all this shit, and then this guy's having a fucking seizure with his fucking back exploding, and the woman decides to hug him. What are you doing?
Look, you're right. I think number one, there was another writer involved, and the script changed like 5 times. But yes, Ridley kind of signed off on that idea. Dumb.
Well, he's the director, you know.
Yeah,
he's the guy that like has the power to sack the writers. Again, people don't take writing seriously, so they just get a new writer. So
it's I think what they were trying to do is echo the Lost World Jurassic Park, which is like, you know, these people don't take the dinosaurs very seriously. Like the one guy is like kicking him, you know, goes off on his own, and then he gets like eaten alive by like a million little tiny creatures. I think they were trying to do something like that, but you can't do that on an alien planet because you're right. The atmosphere, like you can't. It's like that line from Galaxy Quest, like Sam Rockwell's like, "What are you doing? This is an alien planet. Is there air? You don't know." It's a great movie. Yeah,
the whole thing was just embarrassing.
But yeah. Anyway, you wanted to say something about Miyazaki. I derailed you.
Oh yeah. So like, I don't know how to feel about those films. They're very like so. I have very fond memories watching them.
Yeah.
You know, I enjoyed the experience of. I have a similar thing with another show I'll bring up later. I really enjoyed the experience of watching the films.
Yeah.
But the films themselves frustrated me because of how thin they were narratively. Like if we look at Howl's Moving Castle, and you focus on like the fact that there's some war going on that you never see that ends off screen, or the fact that the prince is a turnip for some reason, and all this shit's going on and nothing's really making sense. And then you start to think, well, is this just because, you know, it's a foreign way of telling a story? Because I am enamored by it. It's you know, so it's like I'm confused.
Well, you talked about animals, the animal kingdom, and the relationship with humans earlier.
Yeah.
Why? Okay, Miyazaki sort of approaches it the same way, as like sort of animals and humans are sort of kind of one and the same. I mean, he does this with almost all of his films. I don't know really. if that's like, something
his whole thing with Princess Mononoke. I remember at the time getting frustrated with both sides of that whole thing were just morons. I just like, I can't wait for everyone in this to die. You know, they like I remember.
Well,
just,
everyone was selfish in that movie.
Yeah, they just then the king of the forest, this stupid thing, gets his head blown off, and it's like, oh.
No. You're not. You got to watch it again. I don't think you're remembering.
Maybe I do. I do. What happens? You know, he's there and he's like fucking looks at him, and then
he's not a king. It's a god, and it's not. It has no. But it doesn't It doesn't really manifest in any way. It's supposed to represent sort of nature and like the will of man, and like it and not the will of man, like parallels. And I don't think it's supposed to be a king and like this sort of character in and of itself, but
no, not like maybe it was a god, not a king, but the fundamental thing is just like I remember watching that, and I need to watch it again. I remember watching My Neighbor Totoro, and just like nothing happened in that film.
Well, that movie's about sort of trauma.
I know,
and
I got that. It's kind of like it's like again like these disasters. I did enjoy them, but I don't know why. it's like, you know what I mean?
It's the vibe.
Yes,
it's the vibe. It's the music. It's the music. It's the setting. Totoro has a really beautiful Japanese sort of aesthetic, and then it has this.
It's very sort of this romanticized vision of
quaint quaint little village, and like they escape into the woods, and there's this like.
So I don't dislike them. I'm just confused as to why I do. Like why I enjoyed watching them.
Can I
because
ask?
Like
okay.
they don't have anything in them that really made my brain go, that's a great thing. I'm going to take that with me for the rest of my life. Okay. It's more so this just sort of muted warmth.
I'm wondering what you would think of his new movie, The Boy and the Heron, because The Boy and the Heron actually deals with the concept of like legacy, and it also deals with creation and destruction, and like there's a lot more going on in the movie than in a lot of his other films. But like maybe some things that you would resonate as a writer, as a creator, maybe you would enjoy that movie more because that's what the movie's about. But can I ask you what what would an example be of something that really resonates with you, or a film or a show or a book or something that is you could go back in time and do like a bunch of dead people and like give me examples of like H.G. Wells or something, but like anything recent? Would you?
Recent?
Yeah.
I thought Joker was quite profound.
Okay, I did too. I love Joker.
I thought that was a very interesting.
Sort of makes you root for a psychopath in a very a way that you wouldn't normally.
It's the fact that like he's not somebody that you cheer for. Right. It's just that it's somebody you almost mourn for, in the fact that he he was completely broken and neglected by the world, and I think it does bring about very conflicting feelings in the viewer, because a lot of what he does is despicable, but because you've seen inside his mind and his psyche, it's almost like you just pity him. So I thought that was a very clever film. I thought the music was excellent, the acting was excellent, the writing was excellent. Yep. So I thought that was a very good one. I watched recently Attack on Titan.
That's amazing, in my opinion.
Really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed that.
That's funny you brought that up. So what he did with that story is he had these puzzle pieces sort of put in. I feel like he knew the ending like sort of way in advance, and he sort of set up these payoffs that are gonna, like, in season 3, 4, 5, when characters sort of reveal themselves and there's subversion. Like this guy, is that something that you would do with your book? You described sort of the ambiguity, sort of the organic process of writing. But do you ever set something up to like have a payoff, like in book 6, that like you like, is that something you're like, okay?
I know what's going to happen in all 6 books. I know what the ending is. So there are narrative elements in this first book that might seem confusing at the moment.
Okay.
But in 10 years' time, when the final book comes out, will make sense.
And do you agree with me that Attack on Titan sort of like did this balance really well with like organic storytelling? And
there are some parts yes, some parts no. I think I can think of some good examples where it did, and some examples where it didn't. An example where it did was the of where the Titans come from. I think, without spoiling it, I think answering that question was like at the forefront of my investment, and I was very pleasantly surprised by how advanced the answer was.
Yes. Do you think that are you one of the people that believe that it should have been even further explained, or do you think the ambiguity of what that thing, that like sort of centipede thing is sort of mysterious?
Okay. I don't think an explanation is needed in every case.
I agree.
I think it's like it doesn't serve the point of the show to explain that. It's like what is it? Or
it doesn't matter what it is.
So it doesn't matter what it is. The point that the fact that it exists in and of itself and what people are doing with it is the point. So like an example where I think that maybe not so much as planning went into it was like there's a character, I won't spoil anything, but like there's a character who we spend a bit of time with in season 1, and we get like he's not the main character, but he's like we get like monologues from him. He's watching his friends die, he's trying to be a leader, he's like, oh my god, this is horrible, oh god. And then later in the show he's revealed to be something else. And I think that was done either clumsily or retroactively, because his personality just changes halfway through and he becomes someone else. And the way they explain it is that he's so traumatized that he forgot his mission or whatever the fuck. And I don't know, it didn't land for me. It's quite as well. I
know what you're saying. I had a different interpretation. I think that's a big point of, well, yeah, it's too much to get into, but I mean, I understand what you're saying. So I've heard you talk about this before, but do you think like the most, maybe I'll phrase it this way. Why are all the geniuses dead, and why don't we have them anymore? Like, where are they?
We do. like we have. I'm one of them. Honestly.
I was gonna say. Maybe you are.
The thing is, we don't know who the geniuses are until they're dead.
Right. Well, no. Yeah. Sometimes.
Like in a lot of cases, like people find an appreciation for like one's genius, like usually after the heat of it is all died out and they can actually think more mechanically. Because a lot of people who were considered geniuses were not particularly well liked in their time.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be like necessarily within a lifetime. It can be like a sort of microcosm of this. If you mentioned earlier, one of your favorite horror films was The Thing.
Yes. It's not popular.
That was shit on when it came out.
Yes.
So you have to wait for the emotions to die down to really figure out who's going to survive. For me, I'm focusing on staying power. That's more important to me than celebrity.
Yeah.
Telling a good story and hoping that it will then be remembered. But there are people alive now that are making fantastic music, fantastic stories, that will be remembered as geniuses years after their death. It's just that the internet has made it a bit.
The internet.
Everyone's a seller now. Everyone's a celebrity. So it takes a bit longer for that process to take place. Like back in the day, Shakespeare, he was what he was at the time, and people celebrated him in his time.
Yeah.
Because of his profound use of the English language, and it wasn't a very saturated market. Now everyone thinks they're Shakespeare. Everyone's throwing their shit out there, and so the water has become so muddy that you just have to wait for things to clear, and you need to figure out who's left, and we won't know the answer to that until the future generation. We won't. Maybe when you're older and you're like 90, you might end up like Charlie Chaplin, and they invite you back for some honorary award, and then you die. But generally, don't forget Charlie Chaplin, exiled from America. Fucking all sorts of most geniuses we kill. Generally, we outcast and we kill.
Now the internet has certainly made this more of a problem. I mean, there's always examples like Stanley Kubrick, when he was alive, is considered a genius. Arthur C. Clarke, who worked with Stanley on the 2001, they simultaneously wrote the book.
These are coming up to the era where everyone's a genius. So like fucking I think the word genius is thrown around too often. Like people like people say that fucking you mentioned that James Cameron is a genius. I wouldn't use the word genius. I'd say he's competent at what he does, but nothing he has done in his entire career has been all too profound to me. You know,
I think when it comes to technology, he's sort of pushing the boundaries.
Certainly, but like, he's not. Yeah, he himself as a single man is not innovating this technology. These are all nameless people that you don't know about. He's using the technology in his films. Who developed the technology? Maybe they're geniuses.
Well, they are, but he's also the only one doing it on the scale that, like, when you're the only one doing something, like having $2.4 billion box office returns for like the most advanced movie in the history of it's like you're the only one doing it. So it's like, and he did it with Titanic. He did it with Aliens. He did it with
it makes you successful. But for me, genius is like, it's a very special word reserved for, like, you know, the Einsteins and the fucking Teslas and the people who are like fucking like truly, and
Carl Jung,
you know,
right?
Yeah, people who like really innovate.
Yes.
And in terms of storytelling, I mean, maybe technologically, James Cameron has supported the innovation of new technologies, and I think he deserves credit for that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to storytelling, he does more or less the same as everyone else for the most part.
I think Akira Kurosawa was a genius. I think I mean, you could say Lucas, sort of, you know, George Lucas in his prime, maybe. Trying to think of other people.
I think George Lucas is closer to a genius than Cameron, because George Lucas did something that was fucking remarkable.
Yeah.
You know, but with Star Wars, it just got ruined. You know.
Yeah. Now,
you know,
I think I heard you talk about this before. Like, I think you're a big fan of Jules Verne or H.G. Wells. I can't remember which one.
H.G. Wells.
H.G. Wells. When it comes
I think H.G. Wells is like, in terms of storytelling, you can apply the word genius there, because this is a guy in the 1800s who wrote about time machines and alien invasions from Mars. This wasn't done in those days. He was an innovator of storytelling. He did things no one else had really done.
Yes. And
so, call him a genius. That's fine.
And he was all, well, Wells and Verne were also very scientifically kind of intelligent. And
yes, of course. Yeah, they knew what they were talking about. Like, in the opening of War of the Worlds, he quotes various scientific.
Yes. And he set he I believe was it oh boy, it's one of his books where he predates the first rocket launch into space, and it's like, I think he was off by a couple miles, but like he knew that it had to be in like Florida, and it's like, well, that's, I don't know, he like sort of predicted this like years before it happened. And Ray Bradbury made so many predictions, not just sort of censorship and Orwellian or George Orwell, but Bradbury was talking about augmented reality in the 50s.
Yeah,
he was talking about people's homes becoming
when it comes to
sentient and stuff.
Yeah, well, he's right. When it comes to like genius storytellers, I think that you need to go beyond the frontiers that have already been established by everyone else. You need to have vision unlike everyone else, and you need to explore new territories that are, up until that point, unexplored. You need to do something new with the material that is profound in order to warrant, that sort of those sorts of merits.
Now, you're a writer primarily. Actually, I should ask you this. Do you think you're a better writer or a better visual storyteller?
I'm a better writer.
Okay. Did you discover that like recently, or is this because I know you talked about getting into writing after you were already telling stories?
I discovered that I was a better writer than I was an animator when I read the final draft of Amigdala a few months after I'd finished and wasn't embarrassed.
That's important. That's important.
Yeah, with a lot of my animations, I look at them and I think this could be better, this could be better, this could be better, this could be, and it's a very, because you're bottlenecked by technology. A book, the only thing that you're bottlenecked by is your mind. The only constraint is your imagination. Whereas with animation, my mortal self is restricted by what I can physically do and what my computer can physically do. So like there are things that I wish I could do that I just can't in animation. I just don't have I either don't have the skill at the moment or the technology at the moment or whatever the fuck. You can get the technology and you can learn the skill. You can always improve, but I just don't have it. With writing, there was nothing in my way. It was my first experience with just being able to explore my mind and do things creatively.
That's interesting. Did you write short stories before you did this book? No? A lot of people a lot of people kind of do that as like a kind of
like the only thing I did, like my record of creative writing is as follows. The first creative writing project I ever really did was a fan film of Bionicle.
Based. Let's go.
Which was not great because I wasn't aware of how deep the lore went. I just saw them as fun toys to play with. And I approached that as an animator. Like I was going to, and this is where I learned the important lesson that animation and writing are two different skills. So it didn't really matter how good my animation was at the time.
Yeah.
What mattered was that it wasn't a story that I was particularly proud of. So I didn't finish it because I knew that my heart wasn't in it, my mind wasn't in it, and I wasn't going to put myself through that.
Interesting.
So what I did was instead is at the time, one of my videos popped off with Lucy Lacemaker and Dalton. And so I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll get better at writing by exploring these characters in the privacy of my own home.
Yep.
So I did Satellite City, which was a sort of satirical black comedy, not really any plot, but quite some insightful character analysis and exploration. Satellite City is the process of me learning how to write. If you watch that show, you can see how like the process of me gradually getting better at what I do. And then I did that for about 4 years. And then around 2018, 2019, I decided, okay, I've been doing this for several years. I've done these episodes. This was my sort of forte into creative writing. I'm going to start writing a book now because I want to do this properly. And then I wrote the first draft of Amigdala, then the second draft, then the third draft. And then I rewrote the whole thing again. And that's the result here. So this is the best thing I've done in my life so far.
Wow. And you're
because it's the result of all those things.
And how satisfying is it to finish a book like that and then be proud of it? It's got to be like amazing.
It's the reason I am alive. It's like I don't know. It's hard to put into words how.
Wait, let me ask you this.
I never thought I genuinely didn't think that I would write a book. I always thought in my head in school, wouldn't it be funny if I did? I never thought I would, but then all of a sudden, I found myself doing it.
Does it matter that to you that other people enjoy it, or is it just like satisfying to knowing that you enjoy your own book?
It matters that if people enjoy it to me because it like I want people to. I want it to be successful in that, like, I want it to be successful in that I haven't failed at what I do, and I don't think I have. Like, it's sitting at 5 stars, sold really well. Yep. The reviews are magnificent. So I was very worried. I was very anxious about bringing the book out because it's a very complex book that talks about some very dicey subjects.
Jeez.
Some very, very people who have read the book will probably say in the chat.
There's a couple. Yeah, there was a couple people that said they love the book in the chat.
Yeah, it's a book that has teeth, most certainly, and that's why I was scared because I was like, have I I gone too far here? Is this too weird? But thankfully, my theory was that people would read the book and be disarmed by the way the book was written, so much so that they actually accepted what the book was about, and they did, which was why I wrote it in that way. Which is why the bizarre nature of the book is part of its DNA. It's the disarming mechanism that allows people to take on the ideas that are in there.
That's fascinating.
If the book wasn't weird, it wouldn't work. If I told this exact same story with humans, it wouldn't work. It would be incredibly controversial because, you'd be telling it with, black people, white people, Asian people, British people, American people, and all of a sudden this whole fucking thing gets fucking the lid gets blown off and it becomes untenable. You can't tell a story that way. The bizarrity of the book is its own defense mechanism. It allows it to be insightful in a way that I feel that no other book really is, because it's so weird.
That's fascinating. And as you're saying that, I'm trying to think of other things that maybe sort of feel that way. It's hard to kind of imagine that. I'm thinking maybe like a David Lynch movie or something. But I don't know if you've ever seen any of his films, but they're just so fucking weird.
Name a few.
So like Mulholland Drive, Eraserhead, Inland Empire, Blue Velvet, or maybe like David Cronenberg is a better example, like somebody that he directed.
Were you going to say Moulin Rouge then?
No, yeah, I was about to. Mulholland Drive. It's with oh shit, I can't remember her name. I'm just thinking of like artists that put you in a weird place right away, and you just exist in that weird place. Like David Cronenberg does this. He did a movie called The Fly with Jeff Goldblum. It's very fucking. This guy turns into a fly.
Oh yeah, I wanna watch that. Yeah.
He also, he's done some really weird stuff. Trying to think, man. I mean,
I think that creativity.
Like, are you inspired? Would you say anyone inspired you to do what you did?
My parents. They're the only.
So you're not. Okay.
Go on.
Your parents inspired you to be creative?
Yes. Like I was fortunate enough to have two sides of the brain represented through my parents. So my mum, very supremely intelligent woman. As I said, an advanced practitioner, worked with head injuries, knows everything about the brain, how it works. She can name every bone in the body. She is a very mechanically intelligent
that's fascinating.
person. My father, my dad, fantastic musician, and the music that he wrote inspired my creative side, the weirdness, the macabre elements. One of his songs, Concertina Ballerina, is one of the foundations for my personality. It's just this psychedelic fucking circus. And so I have this, really strange creative father figure and this really mechanically intelligent mother figure. And these two people inspired me more than my brother as well, with whom I've had, the most profound conversations. The people I grew up with inspired me more than any director that I don't know.
Well, that's
because I understand them fundamentally, how they work, how their minds work, and they understand me. And that's why I think Amigdala is a perfect combination of intelligent writing and creativity.
That's pretty amazing. I have another question to follow up with that, but I just want to read it chats for a second, because some of them are. So we have some people in the chat that read your book, and they're saying stuff like, "I love the book," says Hadley. Encouraged me to dig up and update an OC from SC. Satellite City. I can't wait for the next one. So he has and then another person said that they've created a Kevokian original character because of the he likes your book, Cosmos Star. Mm-hmm. Did I say that right? Kevokian?
Oh, Kivoakian.
Kivoakian.
The reason I went for such a weird name is because I'm a big fan of like old sort of Norwegian sort of namings of myth. Like if you look at like the Jabberwocky,
Jabberwocky.
I love weird names. So I thought, well, Kivawakian. It sounds like an authentic fairy tale to me, rather than the Zygons.
That's fun. That's interesting. And another person said that I was trying to find it. Learning about Satellite City, Mageburger says, being an experimental project inspired me to try my own script for a story. Yeah, a lot of people are saying that they're sort of writers and they're inspired by some of these conversations. And
my process of becoming a writer can be experienced online for free. You can go onto my YouTube channel and you can bear witness to the cringe that is my early work. And I'm not embarrassed by it whatsoever by any measure, because I was a kid when I did that stuff. I was 17, 18 when I did the Bionicle stuff. I was in my early 20s when I did Satellite City, and now I'm 26. I've got a book out. It's you're witnessing the maturing of the human mind and how it manifests into something that I'm genuinely proud of. And so anyone that's going through a similar thing, like, oh god, fucking hell, I can't do this. There's like fucking, I want to write this story. Where do I start? Well, listen. You want to be good at something, you first have to accept the fact that you're shit at it. And only when you accept the fact that you're shit at it are you going to start to get good at it. And you need to be unapologetic. You need to just go for it and enjoy it.
Damn. And yeah, I'm going back 9 years on your YouTube page right now.
Yeah. There's some wild stuff on there.
I guess we'll wind down a little bit. I just want to, I don't want to drag people on if this is too long, but I want to have you back on again. I want to read your book. I would love to talk to you just about world building in general. I don't know do you like coming on streams?
Yes, yeah. I like this stuff because it's just a conversation that's
exactly. It's simple.
Yeah. No, I don't do much content with me in it.
Right.
Like my personal, like in Satellite City, I played a character called Sullivan, but I don't really put myself out there as much because
I noticed that
my work is my work is the point, not me.
I know, but I feel like I don't know. I think you have a funny, like, interesting personality, and I like listening to you talk. So I feel like other people do. So I'll have you back on if you want to come on and hang out.
I'm more than happy to come on. Yeah.
I wanted to just quickly ask you, like, it's interesting that you don't have, like, you talked about your family and your inspiration. When I think, like, I'm inspired by my dad's a actor. He's a good writer. I have a similar kind of thing that you have with my family, but I am also highly inspired by other artists and writers and filmmakers.
Yeah, I can name 3.
Okay, so that's what all I'm saying is, like, I guess people have creative people think differently. Like, I have role models that inspired me to feel a certain way about a subject that when I was like 14, 15, 16, I discovered I started watching, like, international films, like, from other countries, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I started watching like Old Boy from South Korea, and then I discovered Wong Kar-wai as a Hong Kong filmmaker, and I was like, what?
You realize how much better they are at telling stories.
I was like, this is weird and different, and it felt to me like I was traveling to these countries and, like, kind of experiencing another culture without actually, like, getting on a plane and going there. And I was like, well, this is fun. And then, like, there's so many different cultures, like. And then I kind of went down, like, a Norwegian, Swedish rabbit hole, and, like, European cinema, and then Japanese new wave. And anyway, I'm obsessed with movies. But, like, that's where my brain goes. Like, I'm inspired by storytellers. And when I write, I have when I'm writing, I went to school for creative writing. I did a lot of poetry. Poetry is the only time where I'm writing that I don't think about that. I just sort of just write. When I'm writing short fiction, I'm like, it's not that I'm trying to, like, mimic people, but I really enjoy sort of the style of writing of certain people, like Ray Bradbury or, like, Dan Simmons. And I don't know. I just, like, so I kind of, like, I don't box myself in to a thing, but it's like, I like the genre that I'm working with and it's comfortable. So, but it sounds like you're just being like whatever's on the page of your book is just like you cut up into a million pieces and like thrown into a book.
Well, it's not all me. Like when I wrote Amygdala, I
and your family, yeah.
Well, I banished all other fiction from my life while I was writing because I didn't want to be even accidentally influenced by other people's ideas. So the first draft of Amygdala was just me doing what I did. But like I researched like historical figures, you know, people, because all my characters are they have to be based on real experiences and real people I've met. You know, you need to do that in order for them to be authentic.
Right. So somebody who works at a library is like, it's maybe somebody who's like more has an imagination, or somebody that reminds you of like a character from a book or something. Or like, is that what you're saying? Like a character?
Well, yeah. Like for example, there's a character in my book called Gatsby. And his role is basically knowing everyone. He makes connections. He makes business transactions happen. He's the guy.
And you're comfortable, and you were okay with just calling him Gatsby. I've read the book. Is that something?
No. What do you mean?
So I've read The Great Gatsby, and I just I didn't read. No, I know what you're about to say. I'm misunderstanding you, but I assumed you were talking about him because he is this elegant person who knows everybody. So like, I misunderstood what you were saying.
No,
but like,
his name Gatsby is. I suppose it could be a reference to The Great Gatsby, but his character's not. He's not. He's not a socialite in that way. He's not a very posh individual. He's he's very much of the street. You know.
I see.
He's the guy down at the pub who knows Vicky up the street. You know, he's now he is based on a person that I know called Arthur, who's worked with my dad. Yeah, Arthur Johnson, and I met him a few times, and we spoke, and I'd meet him at the pub, and this is a guy who's like in his 50s, 60s, and he'd take the beer mats and peel them off and start writing notes on them, and just this, he seems to know everyone. He has a fucking huge list of contacts. Every, you know, he's.
I know a guy like that. He knows everybody in town. Everybody.
No. This guy knows fucking. This guy knows the Beatles. This guy knows everyone.
And yep.
You know, so he's the most connected person. It's like, how the fuck? So when I wrote Gatsby, I was pulling inspiration from this very real person, and thinking, well, how does he talk? Well, he talks in this sort of this sort of way. He holds himself in this sort of way. There's a degree of you build these characters based on real experiences.
Interesting. Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah, I know a guy like that. He knows fucking Vladimir Putin somehow. I'm just like, how do you fucking know him? It's wild. Yeah. Yeah, dude. So, well, that's interesting. When I read the book, I'm gonna have a million more questions. Let's see here. Is there anything else I wanted to ask you? Well, I guess we can. Yeah, we don't have to talk about AI. I think we already talked.
I think we covered AI.
We agree. We kind of agree on all that shit. But yeah, man, it sounds like a lot of people are inspired by your work, and it's awesome. And I would love to talk to you about writing, the process of writing, and character creation, language. I don't know if you made up a language for your book, but
I didn't make up a language in the book because it wouldn't really. They all speak the same language anyway, which cannot be. The idea is that it cannot be. Humans can't comprehend it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it would defeat the purpose. So I explain in chapter 1 that everything is translated to English for our understanding, because it's not like you've got the elves and the dwarves and the two. It's a very, there are songs and poems and things in the book. There's newspaper articles. So there's a lot of world building stuff that we can talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, when it comes to like I'm inspired by people in my own community. So it's like it's very cyclic. So they read my book, they get inspired by it, they write their own stuff, and then I get inspired by that. So it's like it's a very happy cycle, I think.
Damn. Yeah, your community. I'm sort of looking at you from I know you from our interactions, and I'm sort of discovering your whole fucking world. And I haven't read your book, but I haven't been following your stuff, so I'm going back in time, and it's like, it's kind of confusing. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, what is this voice test? Like, what is going on? And it's like, okay, but you seem to have like a community of people that have been like absorbed in this stuff, and I'm assuming is there a separation of your fans of your book and fans of like your music stuff, or is it, I know it's all the same universe or world, but like
well the idea is that like Satellite City was its own thing, and that's done now, and then everything going forward is the book, and it's a gradual process of people going from Satellite City to the book, and the book only came out like a year ago, like last year. So like over the course of time, gradually more and more people are learning about the book, reading the book, enjoying it, sharing it, and then the second book's going to be the trailer for the second book's going to be coming out at the end of this year, and that's going to be coming out next year. So it's just I like making things, and I like other people making things, and that's what I do. I'm not really interested in like. I think there's a lot of people that talk about creativity without practicing it. And
it's a problem. It's like they shit on stuff and then they don't do anything themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And the stuff, yeah, exactly. They're too quick to criticize without ever really doing it. And it's like you can criticize, and that's fine. That can be your thing. But people aren't listening to you.
No.
Like consumers might be listening to you because they like their opinion to be affirmed, but these creative people, they speak a different language, and that's the truth of it, is that they do speak a different language, and they can always weed out who has and hasn't had the experience. And you could argue that that's not good for them. Maybe they should listen, but they don't. You can't, they just don't listen to you. They might benefit from it, but they don't. It's a different world, and I think I'm much more comfortable being the creator, having my work enjoyed and criticized, than being the person in the audience throwing tomatoes. I'm happier to be, one of the people doing the output, doing the creating. And even though it's not as sensationalist, you don't get as much of a following from doing stuff like this, or it takes time because people don't know. It took you 10 years. Yeah, people on the internet, they search for things that they are already familiar with.
No, it's not. So when they are fed those things via an algorithm.
Yeah. So when you want to create something new, it doesn't exist in the algorithm. It doesn't exist in people's general awareness. You have to build it yourself brick by brick, and it can take a lifetime. But your reward is that it then lasts forever. You can rest easy knowing that you've done the good work.
Now, I guess lastly, like just to kind of piggyback off of what you just said. Is there in my community? Okay, I do a lot of video editing, and I make memes and just funny stuff. I do a lot of culture war stuff, like problems with like Hollywood or whatever. I'm sort of like kind of tired of the constant like negative outrage stuff, so I kind of try to be positive a little bit more than I just like being passionate about my hobbies. So so I kind of avoid, if I can, some of the negative stuff. But there's a community of people that I've networked with that like kind of I am able to kind of grow my channel a little bit, and people know who I am now because I'm good at networking, and like other people are like having me on their shows and streams, and I like talking to people. Is there an art community that I think I've read a tweet or something about like you and a couple other people. Is there like, are you involved in like a community where people are able to discover who you are because they follow another person in the community? Or like, does that make sense? Is there like this, are you involved in anything like that? Or
I'm friends with a lot of other
artists
and creators online. We don't have like a specific space that we all go to. It's just that we're familiar with each other. We you know.
Yep.
And we just collaborate. My Discord server is where I'm at most of the time when it comes to like interacting with people, purely because a lot of creative people just go there.
Yeah.
So
I'll have to hop in
there. If you want to network with like more of the creative people instead of the critical people,
yeah,
then just I suppose interact with them and I can tell you now that like drama might sell, but it's corrosive to the soul. I think it just makes you it can make you very miserable. So
the problem is it gets views, and I'm a video. That's my job, is I'm a video editor, and I'm like, well, there's editing jobs available for people who are sort of doing this thing, and it's just like, well, I have to do it, and it's like, I'm friends with a lot of people in these communities. I think I'm getting to the point where like I said, I'm writing a comic. I want to do a campaign. I want to be more creative, and I like that stuff. So I'm just wondering, like,
you're joining the dark side.
The dark side. Oh boy.
Yeah, you're becoming one of the creators.
Maybe. Except I'm still gonna shit on like Rebel Moon and all
these
bad movies.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because
one thing that I've noticed is that all the people talking about the creative medium are not creative people.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I find that very confusing. The fact that they don't do anything.
No, that's true. There's a lot of people that are hijacking creative mediums because they're coming from politics, and they're like, oh, so now these politically kind of motivated people are starting to talk about art, and it's like, well, you're on the surface, yeah, you're right. Hollywood is like kind of embracing whatever, like this agenda or something, but like when it gets beyond that, like they don't know how to talk about writing or character development, like, or even like anything. And it's like, it's becoming kind of annoying. It's like there's a lot of tourists,
Yeah, I consider a lot of the people that talk about media tourists.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they don't give a shit about what I say, but I don't give a shit about what they say. So it's like,
yeah,
it's like the connection between them and people in the industry doesn't exist.
Right.
They shout at people in the industry, but no one listens. So it's like they create, I think, important content because I think it's important to criticize things, and their audience are other people that don't do the creating. So they exist to hold the industry to a higher standard, and I think that's important. I think the channels that do that deserve to exist, but they don't have the connection to the industry that I think that they think they do, that maybe they want to have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's room for that. The trouble is that they just don't play in our world. They're not part of this process. They could be. They could be, but they talk amongst themselves. They create their own closed off group of people that don't understand how these things work, and then they just do that instead of speaking to actual filmmakers and writers and all this other stuff. It's weird to me. I think they should do that. I think that would help. And
I agree.
Lay out an olive branch, because there doesn't have to be a profound dislike of one another, because you've seen it. You've seen creative people hating these critics, and the critics hating the creative people, and it just leads to this shitty fucking relationship between the creators and the audience, and the audience and the creators, and it doesn't need to exist. I think both sides need to like fucking be a bit more okay with having dialogue.
Dialogue, and then also realizing that it's not we don't live in a black and white world. There are some creative people that are doing good things, and there's also some critical people that have valid criticisms. It's like both sides need to realize that, like, there's a lot of annoying people that are criticizing stuff and they don't know what they're talking about, but there's also valid criticisms.
Well, I'll give you like a little,
yeah.
I'll give you like a brief example. Do you remember when Rings of Power came out and House of the Dragon came out?
Yeah, I'm traumatized from it, but that's
yeah. Well, I watched Rings of Power and I watched House of the Dragon. Did you watch House of the Dragon?
I did.
Okay. House of the Dragon was guilty of all the things Rings of Power did.
Sure.
Like all the things that like this community shat on Rings of Power for like, it's like elements of fucking propaganda and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
House of the Dragon was also guilty of it. It did the same thing. It made explicitly clear. It did the race swapping, which people shat on Rings of Power for. It had the feminist angle,
the female
which they
power,
were very, which they were angry at. Though the ruler should have been a woman, and the weak king, and every male character in House of the Dragon is either incompetent or evil. Or weak. And so they made the Hightower lady a victim when in the actual book she's the mastermind. So like they are guilty of all the same things that Rings of Power did, but the critics identified black and white, good and evil. House of the Dragon was praised. Rings of Power was criticized, and both of them were guilty of the same things.
Yeah,
and this is why it's important to have actual creative people involved in the discussion, because it's like, hey, there are like some of them noticed. Like I'll give credit to like a few of them. Like it wasn't the whole community. Like quite a good portion of them actually did notice.
You're talking to one of the only people that defended the first few episodes of Rings of Power, and I got Shadiversity into like a 4-hour. I don't know if you saw this, but we had the most eruption, explosive art debate ever, and I almost lost my entire following because of it. But I agree with you. I think Rings of Power. I think there were people that were saying this is the worst show of all time, and I'm like, it's okay. It's bad, but it's like it has some qualities to it, and then also, when it comes to House of the Dragon, I'm like, people are like, this is a masterpiece. And it's like, well, yeah, but there's also some problems. I noticed the same problems that you noticed. And on top of that, it's boring.
Yes, like there's no through line for House of the Dragon. It's like it's called the momentum reset.
It's
every
so
episode,
boring.
Every episode resets the momentum. It never gets going. Things just happen. They're fighting over the shipping lanes in one episode, and then 3 episodes later, they're fighting over them again. Characters are recast left, right, and center. There's no characters change personality just like that. They become other characters overnight. There's a scene where this queen woman explodes through the ground, kills a bunch of innocent civilians for no reason, and it's
I hated that scene. She causes a war against for no reason at all. She kills innocent people for no reason. She's just like, oh, I'm mad about something, so I'm gonna go kill people.
Yeah, it's like there's a scene where a woman is killed by this guy on her horse, and the last thing she says is, I knew you couldn't finish. It's like, this isn't dialogue. This is Drek.
Yeah.
Who the fuck? Who has? She's just broken her spine, and that's what she's gonna say. I knew you couldn't finish. She's gonna insult his manhood. What the fuck are you talking about? And it's like Rings of Power had some cringy moments and some dumb shit in there, like exploding Mount Doom with a key. But it's like, like they both have dumb shit, and I just didn't see like there was a clear narrative.
There's always a narrative. There's always a counter narrative that is pushed. That is exaggeration. Another one was,
and it was like House of the Dragon destroys Rings of Power, and it's like, no, they're both shit. I'm sorry, they're both average, maybe.
I think
well, I think I think House of the Dragon is marginally better than Rings of Power.
It's a better show.
Yeah, I do agree, but it's not. It's like they went easy on it.
Another one was Captain Marvel versus Battle Angel Alita, and it's like, Captain Marvel's boring and not good, but like Battle Angel, in my opinion, the manga is a million times better. They made a PG-13 Disney, basically Disney-fied that whole movie. The romance is like a Disney Channel just bullshit. There's no violence. The manga is so much better, and people were like, Battle Angel destroys Captain Marvel. They came out the same week. And there were people giving Battle Angel a 10, Captain Marvel a 0. It's like, holy fuck, everything's black and white. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, that's the trouble with these sorts of narratives that take hold. Like, individually, I think, I think the channels that cover this stuff, I think they perform a valuable service, which is to like.
Yeah, because Disney. I'm sorry, Disney sucks. Yeah. Disney sucks.
They do suck. Yeah, I agree. Like I think, I think the maulers and the nerdrotics and the shadversity, I think, and the critical drinkers, I think they're important. I think they're pivotal to the culture of film.
Yep.
But I think that they could be more pivotal if they wanted to be. And I am to understand that like Shad and I think the drinker fella, they've written books before.
Yeah.
And I think, they like I give a bit more credence to what they say as a result.
Sure.
It's disappointing when you have these quite insightful people succumb to a trend, and it's like or a narrative, and it's you can look at this through that lens if you want to, but fundamentally Rings of Power was a below average show, and so was House of the Dragon. It wasn't like a big fight. They were both guilty of the same things. House of the Dragon did a terrible job at representing the characters from the book, except the series King character, who was the best part of the show.
Yeah, he's the best part. I just thought it was boring, man. Half the episodes, they're just staring at each other, like with nothing happening. I agree. I mean, House of the Dragon's really better than Rings of Power. Rings of Power fucked up a lot. But like I said, like I think people are too captured by their audience to give honest everything. What happened?
Super chat.
Everything is always worse than the previous thing that comes out. That's what I was going to say. It's always like, This is the worst thing ever. This is worse than that. I'm like, can we have some nuance, please? $20 super chat. Cersei Lannister is a great example of a horrible person who happens to be an amazing character. Yet they couldn't even give Alicent even a shred of that viciousness. Cowards. Cat with a knife. $20 super chat. Thank you so much. Great.
So
example right here.
Yes, it is. It's a perfect example. It's a perfect example because, again, with my female characters, they're not the way they are because they're female by virtue of their sex. They are the way they are because they're characters. With Alicent, they took a vicious female character, cunning, meticulous, intelligent, wicked, from this story, and they made her a victim. She's a nice character. She's just manipulated by the evil men around her, and it's just like I don't like it when you're fucking with other characters, like with other people's characters in that way. And it's like when it came to discussing House of the Dragon, it was like celebrated for like being the anti Rings of Power, but it was, again, it did the same thing.
Right? Game of Thrones, I think, is a better show. The first 4 seasons are just interesting. House of the Dragons is kind of what you're saying. It's just, you know what it did? It had better actors, and it had a better cast slightly, and it wasn't
Matt Smith.
It wasn't as like chaotic with its storytelling. It was like Rings of Power is sort of all over the place, like kind of nonsense actually. But like I said, I think I don't know. I don't think Rings of Power is like the worst thing I've ever seen. It's like I like the dwarves. I like the dwarves.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you were to just focus on like, forget the dwarf aesthetics, like the way they dress, and forget Elrond's stupid hair. If you actually focus on the relationship between those two characters, there's something there.
There's something there.
There's something quite interesting there.
and especially with him and his father, and
some of it was rushed.
It was rushed. They also ruined. I'm like sort of a lore, not a purist, but like I don't care. Here's an example. Jurassic Park fucked up the lore of the original book. I don't care. Made it better. Don't care. Same thing with Blade Runner. Like I brought these two up examples earlier. I'm not really a lore purist. I think it's okay if something needs to be changed, and if the movie can be still entertaining, it's not necessarily a problem.
Adapt it,
It's not a problem. I mean, to change some lore stuff. It's not the same universe. It's not like a sequel or a prequel. It's like its own thing. It's not, if you like the book better, the book still exists. So whatever. Yeah, she's amazing. She's consistent. She's a treat. Love that petty queen. Oh, she's talking about Cersei. Yeah.
The thing is, here's the thing. If you really are all about equality of the sexes, you've got to let them be villains, man. You've got to let them do and say fucked up things just like the men. And here's the thing. Women want that. They want devious, wicked female characters.
I know.
I know my wife does. I know all my friends. It's like, because as a man, I love seeing male characters who are all sorts of
right. Like Walter White, like Walter White, or like Joker, or like a lot of characters in Game of Thrones. I like seeing devious, like not purely like altruistic characters, like as men and women in general.
Yeah, no one likes to be pandered to.
No. And and it's unfortunate that like we're getting a lot of women with kind of a lack of like depth to their characters these days, because I don't know what's happening. It's a problem. But anyway, we have there's some negotiations happening in chat. There's some I guess somebody I will ask Sam after stream. Oh Jesus, I'm reading weird stuff. Okay, so thank you for joining. I feel like I kept you forever. I feel bad.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's good. Kim Wexler is another good example.
Kim Wexler is amazing. Also, Skylar from Breaking Bad. She gets a lot of hate, but you know what? I think she reacted logically to her situation.
I have like Skylar is like a mixed thing for me, and Carmen is like she happens to be right.
Right, she does.
But she's
kind of annoying.
She I don't know. It's weird.
Isn't
the way
Marie
she
more annoying than her though? I feel like Marie
is
way worse.
No. Like I think like when you're let's be honest. If you're married to someone, if I found out that my wife had cancer, and she was going to be dead inside a year, and she had been making meth, do you want to know how many fucks I would give?
Hey,
0.
That's a good point.
She's my wife. I love her. I don't care. It's the fact that his entire family disowned him and wanted him dead because he broke a law.
Also, she didn't want him to smoke weed, which was like clearly a bonus for like a cancer patient.
Well, here's the thing. Like, my thing is this: how much do you love the person, right? If I found out that Carmen was making meth, I would just say, cut me some of that shit, Can we buy that house? Like, I here's the thing. I don't think this is too, like, I love my wife.
Well, now she knows, dude. Now she knows. Now she's going to take advantage of you.
But the thing is, I love my wife more than I love some fucking law.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like, I think if you really love someone, you'll defend them. Especially when it's like something like, manufacturing drugs that people are going to get anyway.
Well, that's what Jaime Lannister did with Cersei. I mean, if you think about it, he loved. She was a fucking horrible person, but like he couldn't help himself.
that they fucked that whole thing.
I know. I didn't. Now I don't think that's how George wanted it to end, but like the ending's horrible. But that dynamic is interesting. But it's annoying. It's annoying, but it's interesting.
Did you know? I still have recurring dreams about being excited for the final few seasons, and then I wake up. I still have recurring dreams about like.
I don't believe
I
it.
do. Sometimes I have like a dream where like, because me and my brother really loved Game of Thrones when it was running, and we would look forward to like whenever the episode dropped, we'd stream it on like some website, and it was this really, it was like we were like really excited to sort of see how it ended, and that excitement sort of
died.
The disappointment, yeah, it was so fucking.
It's unfortunate.
I mean, it started in like season 6, to be honest, season 5 or 6.
Yeah, and that's a good example of sort of like a fandom that was, you know, the fandom that existed because the show was great and the writers fucked up really bad and the fandom reacted and everything was natural in my opinion. Everything, there's not a problem. There's not a problem there because, yeah, the writers needed to understand like that's a big deal. Like that they fucked up so bad, maybe more than anyone's ever fucked up.
That's why those YouTubers I mentioned before need to exist.
I know. I think I don't know. There's got to be there's sort of I think there's a tier list of content creators that do criticism, and I think Drinker's at the top, but I think Mahler's at the top. I think sometimes maybe they'll be a little bit too cynical, but like I think those guys are important. And I think Gary's one of them. There's a lot of people that do copycat stuff that just will shit on something like Mario for being feminist when it turns out that like Peach, like, you know what I mean? Like that shit's stupid. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. The whole Mario thing with Peach being a girl boss, I'm just like, go fuck yourself. Like that was a good movie. Peach is in Super Smash Brothers. She kicks ass. Like, come on.
The reason I didn't like the Super Mario movie was just because it was dumb.
Well, it is dumb, but did you grow up with Mario? Are you obsessed?
No.
Well, then go fuck off. Fuck off.
Exactly.
I don't care what you have to say.
Exactly. It's like it doesn't matter what I think.
Yeah.
You know, it's like taking someone to see a Transformers film. They can hate it, but it's like, well, I don't care.
Exactly. You know? No, that's fair. But we're gonna wrap it up. I feel like I could talk with you for like 75 hours, but we'll do it another time.
Yeah, sure. Just let me know.
And yeah, man. If I don't know if you're are you a gamer? Do you play games?
Oh yeah, I play.
Oh,
that's where I get most of my inspiration from.
Are you excited for Pal World? Comes out Friday.
I'm more excited for Dragon's Dogma 2.
Okay, same. Dragon's Dogma 2, also Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm a big Monster Hunter fan. Yeah, no, I'll have you on again. We'll talk about. I like talking to you. I'm glad we met, man, because like I was like, you need to talk to Shad because like that's good content. And
that's fucking good content.
I wasn't even being selfish. Like realistically, I've been on Adam and Stitch before. I would have loved to go on there, but like I didn't even give a fuck. I thought you and him would have been, you know, a great.
I just like a full disclaimer. Like I like Shad. I like Adam. I like Stitch.
I like Shad.
I think it takes a lot of integrity.
Yeah.
To really stand up for what you believe and face people and be respectful. And Shad. You know, he talks a lot. He goes on these fucking rants, and he doesn't like, you know, his ego being wounded, but who does, you know? No. So it's like I don't hold anything against him. But yeah, like I don't.
He's also getting a lot of shit from a million different people. I can't imagine actually.
Well, he's the thing. He wouldn't get half the shit that he did.
I know.
If he was just a bit less reactionary and a bit more measured in his response.
I told him that.
Yeah. Like he just needs to, like, you know, just calm down a bit and just. I'm quite an animated person, but I know when to, like, this is why you don't see a lot of me on my own channel. I know when to shut the fuck up and just let my content do the talking.
Yes. And then
like he made a video on his book, like, oh, some people don't like my book. Well, actually, here it's like, you don't need to make a video like that. If you believe in the merits of your book, good for you. And if the reviews are what they are, then be proud of that. You don't need to convince people that don't like your stuff to like it. You're not going to win them over.
Yeah.
You don't need to make a video like that. Just your job is to create it. and then once it's out there, that's too late, man. It's there, it's done. You can't defend it. It's finished.
It's true. It's true. Before we go, chat's talking about Better Call Saul. There's a big drama. Better Call Saul. Yeah, 53 award nominations, not a single win. That's a problem. It's one of the best shows of all time.
It's all rigged. It's all fake.
I will say Succession is one of my favorite shows ever made. It's amazing and it deserves to have all the awards, but Saul deserved, like, White Lotus won awards over Saul, and it's like doesn't make any sense. But like like Rhea Seehorn, she should have won Best Actress like 4 years in a row. But anyway, a good show. Highly recommend it. I also like to do recommendations before we leave of like a movie for depending on my guest. Okay. So if you guys like sort of like interesting, weird stuff, like Sam's, it's kind of like the vibes. It's not really similar vibes to Sam, but I highly recommend a movie called Wings of Desire.
I thought you were going to say Wings of Redemption.
No. Wings of Redemption. That's a YouTuber. He's a fat YouTuber.
He needs a movie.
He needs a movie. No, Wings of Desire. It's a very artistic movie. It's about an angel who sort of basically it's about an angel who falls in love with a trapeze artist. And it's one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, well,
it's a German movie. Highly recommend it. It's yeah. So I don't want to say too much.
My recommendation is The Big Fish.
It's a great movie. It's Tim Burton, right?
Yeah. Yep. I think that's my favorite Tim Burton film.
Wow.
I don't like a lot of Tim Burton films, but I like that one.
Interesting. That is a good one. I think his Sweeney Todd adaptation did a disservice to the original Broadway show, but that's just my opinion.
Yes, I think it's a bit.
I know you live in the UK, right?
Mm-hmm,
have you seen Sweeney Todd on the stage?
When I was a kid, I need to watch it again.
It is my favorite thing ever, man.
Yeah, when I was a kid, like we used to go on like field trips to like the Empire Theatre and watch plays. We watched Cats, and I think that was one of them.
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah, I want to go and watch it again.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Johnny Depp is not a baritone. He's not like a menacing demonic person in the same way.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't have the.
He doesn't have.
He doesn't have the voice of.
Attend the tale of Sweeney Todd. Like, he doesn't have that. But yeah. Also, I watched Frankenstein with Benedict Cumberbatch and the other guy who plays Frankenstein, or who plays Sherlock on the American Sherlock with Lucy Liu. They swapped. It was the British. It was like the London theater or whatever. It was Benedict and him, and Benedict played Frankenstein's monster, and they swapped roles. And I saw this. It was amazing. I don't know. English people do the best theater. It's not even close. But you're lucky. You're lucky.
Has there ever been a genuine adaptation of Frankenstein?
Well, of the book, not really.
That's weird.
Not really.
Weird. Isn't that strange?
It's very strange. It's very strange. I mean, the original Frankenstein's pretty close, but like,
yeah, but
not really.
Imagine what they could do today
in the 80s. I know, man. Well, Guillermo del Toro is doing one with Oscar Isaac and Mia Goth. It's coming out.
Is it going to be like a proper adaptation?
I don't know because I think it might be a sequel, honestly. And then there's been some good sequels. Not gonna lie,
sequel
written books. Yeah. There's different. There's like a Dean Koontz book written. I don't know what Del Toro's doing. He hasn't really revealed any information, but
all right, well.
I like Guillermo del Toro, Pan's Labyrinth, and I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll find out.
Was good.
Thanks for joining, everybody. We're gonna wrap things up. We've been going on forever.
Yeah, it's been fun. I've really enjoyed this.
I agree, man. And thanks for your backseat driver, Carmen. Carmen, is it Carmen?
Carmen, yeah.
I appreciate it.
You should join us next time, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dude, I love her artwork. So I just realized I learned that today that she does your artwork.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating. But man, thanks for coming on, and I just wish you luck with everything, and let me know when the audiobook's out.
I will definitely do that. I'm going to be doing some more recording this week just to fill out a few bits.
Oh, so it is sort of nearing.
It is. We need to edit it. So you're looking at either late February or maybe March. Probably March. I would go with March.
Okay.
Is the safer bet because we're not going to rush it. So,
are you having fun? Are you having fun with that recording?
Yeah, we've 40 hours of fucking stuff to sift through because like the final thing's got to be like 32 hours. So it's a long book. So I've been in the recording booth. For... I mean, I'm doing it. The whole thing is being done with my uncle because my uncle is a sound engineer. So it's all in the family.
Damn, dude. Are you trying to pace? Are you trying to pace it so that it's easy to listen to and not like rushed? Like I can't imagine trying to record an audiobook.
Yeah, you've got to like just try and read it in a way that is not too fast, not too slow, and sometimes you got to redo a few lines. Yeah, so
that's wild. Well, thank you, man. I love everybody. Thanks for the chat and the super chats and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Go have fun. Go play games. Go watch stuff. Go read anime. Read movies. Wait, what the fuck am I saying? Go watch some anime. Go read some books and watch some movies. Yeah. I like to, on my stream, I just like to encourage people to like talk about their hobbies. That's really all I give a fuck about, honestly.
Yeah, it's a nice environment.
Yeah, and it should be relaxing because I like when people are excited about stuff and I don't like when people are. I mean, being excited about hating on something is a very different feeling than being excited about enjoying something. So,
of course, there's no comparison.
That's what I like to do. But anyway, thanks for joining everybody, and we're gonna end the stream. And all right, say bye, Fennah. I think I have a wave. I have a wave function. There it is. My wave function. Bye bye.